at the community level who are equitably distributed and adequately supported. We know as a government we've made a lot of investment in the health sector, and we've, in the recent years, we've invested a lot in terms of building infrastructures. And with this achievement, it has come with its own challenges. Currently, the human resource gap stands in the health sector stands around 52%. So what solutions do we need to come up to make sure that we bridge this gap? And then particularly in this area, we have invested in training human resource for health. Some of them are employed, some are still in the streets. How do we work on this huge population of health workers who are not employed, but we need them in the health services? You're most welcome, Dr. Ndumbaro.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. The government has been working hard, I think, from independence. As you all know, we had not even enough personnel. So in the first 30 years of independence, we used to expand training for health sector, professions and others. And also the professions are changing now and then. So we've also been upgrading the professions now and then, so that under current situation now, more health professions who are not employed. And so the government is employing three major strategies in dealing with this. The first one is the usual one, that continue to employ year after year. And in this financial year, actually the government has allocated more than 11,000 vacancies for health workers that will be employed in this year. But the second strategy is to work with non-state actors like the Mkapa Foundation. You have heard that the Mkapa Foundation for the last 15 years has recruited or has deployed more than 9,000 health workers who are working in government health facilities in remote areas. So the government is creating an enabling environment for non-state actors to complement government efforts in various areas. And the third strategies that we are working on is to try and develop a volunteer program working framework that will allow us to absorb those who are not employed as volunteers to work in the different government facilities. And our focus will be mainly borrowing from the Mkapa Foundation, the spirit of Mkapa Foundation, to deploy them in the remote areas where, the only facilities that you can find there are government facilities. And if you don't have workers, then, it becomes a crisis. So we'll develop the volunteer program framework that will enable us deploy volunteers to those areas. Those are the three major strategies that we're going to use.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndumbaro. As we are discussing about universal health coverage, we are all aware that the pattern of disease is changing. In the early years, we were focusing on communicable diseases, but of late, we are seeing a new pattern of non-communicable diseases, which are very different, by the way. With communicable diseases, you get sick once, you get treated, you never go back to the health system. With the non-communicable diseases, once you get sick, you are permanently fixed in the health system for the rest of your life. So you're seeing this changing burden of disease in Tanzania, with non-communicable disease on the rise, but also the advent of COVID-19, which builds a strong case to invest in communities, health promotion, and health prevention programs. What do you see the role of community health workers in this setup?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I agree with you that the community health workers employing them is a good idea, but we should also go back to our rich history of dealing with this type of things. I remember in the 1970s and 80s, when we had communicable diseases problem, we used to have sustained health campaigns, across the country. Mtu ni afya, chakula ni uhai. These campaigns, were sustained. Leaders from the national leaders, the region, district, even the world level, were all singing the same song, campaigning for mtu ni afya, chakula ni uhai. And this, was a cost-effective type of thing, a campaign that, raised the consciousness of the people about these communicable diseases. We can use the same experience in dealing with non-communicable diseases, that we can, start a national campaign, at all levels, all leaders, from national, district, region. If all of them will talk about this, people will understand, and then we'll address those issues. I also remember, our history. When we were in primary school, we had a subject called Hope Economics. And that's Marifa Nyumbani. In that subject, we had been taught about how to handle these communicable diseases, diarrhea, chorea. Students were taught in primary schools. And so if we also mainstream health education in the primary school, secondary school, this will be a long-term sustainable solution, in addressing this problem. But we can also employ as you said, the community health workers, but in areas where, you have significant outbreak of these things. And this will be, I think, a more cost-effective thing if we employ community health workers in those areas where, there are extreme cases, areas of extreme cases. But we can also, as I said, embody it or mainstream in the primary school, secondary school, health education, and then people will be more aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Lauren Kongamano, for those wonderful remarks, and I'm going to give you time to wrap up at a later stage. My third speaker is Mr. Sanjay Rugani. Thank you. Who is representing the private sector. And as you know, the private sector is an important partner in the journey towards universal health coverage. How do you see the private sector complementing the government's efforts towards universal health coverage?
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Waziri. And I think we very significantly contribute. But I think it's just to take a moment on what private sector means. So I think as a nation and across Africa, 80% of whatever is produced in our countries comes from private sector. 75% of the total credit that is taken in our countries is taken by private sector. 65% of the total investment in any country is done by private sector. And 90% of the people employed in the formal sector are employed by the private sector. So that's the strength and the machinery that the government or any nation has. And I can tell you that in every country where there's been progress in the health system, it's really because there's been significant collaboration. I must also say that, when you talk about universal health coverage started in 1978, if I remember, 43 years ago. When we started universal health coverage then, the role of the private sector was just a little bit of production, a lot of procurement, and a little bit of distribution. Now, statistics shows that anywhere between, in a year, from 25% to 40% of the contribution in the health sector could be from the private sector. We've scaled up significantly. We are now involved in knowledge, in education. Mheshimiwa talked about campaigns, services, products, goods, manufacturing, value chain impact. We are using technology as an enabler. A lot of work is happening on logistics. Like I said, 80–90% of the total distribution happens through private sector. We've also really expanded on our partnerships. In olden days, and Mheshimiwa Balozi will talk about it, that in the past, the donor agencies could just fund us. But now we are creating economic sustainable models, and that requires private sector. So we have had partnerships with various development partners, with UNICEF, with AMREF, and that's a big thing we've done. I also want to say that the private sector is what finances a lot of the interventions that we do. Now, just citing a couple of very quick best practices. I mean, Tanzania has made so much progress, including through Mkapa Foundation. I mean, we boast of some of the best hospitals now. So, if I talk about Aga Khan Hospital, it is amongst the 9 accredited hospitals in Africa. And we don't even know about this. They do a lot of work on cancer, on gender equality, CCBRT, from a disability, eye care, gender perspective, do phenomenal stuff. And this is all private sector interventions. The financial services industry, Standard Chartered Bank, where I come from, we've spent $7 million in the last 5 years just on eye care. ICNBC, my friend sitting there, CRDB, NMB, everybody is putting in a lot of effort. We need to just coordinate these efforts. You look at mining companies. You look at Dahlberg that is doing a lot of research work. And then finally, MNOs, I think are very critical as we evolve. And, data is going to continue to be very critical in essence. And finally, I would say that, when you talk about private sector, whilst we have done a lot to manage the burden so far, the burden of health, and I know that COVID has taught us, is very, very huge. Just in terms of statistics, if you look at Africa, 11% of the world's population is in Africa. 24% of the total global disease burden is in Africa. We only have 3% of our workforce that is involved in health, so we have much more to do. And only 1% of the global investment goes in Africa health. So there's so much more to do. Thank you.
Thank you for that intervention. If I don't ask you I'm not going to sleep tonight because I'm the minister responsible for communication, but also the digital transformation in this country. You have highlighted some of the issues here and the engagement of the private sector. How do you see the role of digital transformation and the technology in filling the gaps that you see in the health sector from the private sector perspective?
Waziri is talking about his house now, ICT. I think ICT can give us exponential transformation, whether it is in health or many things. But if you just talk about health, you talked about communicable diseases, non-communicable diseases, or pandemic now, because it's a big thing. So whether it is in the adaptive technology, what is adaptive technology is we are a very resource-constrained country. And a lot of the equipments that we need to be made for resource-constrained countries. And these are technology interventions. So whether you use GE or many other organizations, Philips, they can be of huge support. But let's talk about data, because that's where you come in. And I must congratulate you because your ministry started only in November last year, and you've already started to involve us in making the blueprint, which is very important. So here is the magic. If we collected all the healthcare data from the providers, if we collected all the MNO data on the population, the concentration, and the social behaviors, if we collected all the data from financial services, the utilization, from all the food chains and how we consume food, from the bottling companies, from insurance providers, human resources as we talked about. Imagine the data we have to make good decisions. So decision making becomes better.
Sorry,
we can manage workforce better.
We'll take a pause as Excellency is about to step in, then I will pass on the mic to Doctor. When she steps in, I will ask you all rise as Her Excellency President Samia step in any seconds from now. And Superintendent Mpepo, you'll be ready for the national anthem and East African as we start. May we all raise, please. Trustees and East Africa Anthem. seated. Your Excellency, Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of United Republic of Tanzania, we take great honor and thank you for your time this morning. Your Excellency, for attending to this global event that has collaboratively been organized between the Benjamini Mkapa Foundation and your government of Tanzania. Thank you very much for setting aside your time for this. Your Excellency, in this venue, physically, there are about 600 participants, but also, Your Excellency, this event is followed globally, and there are some few head of states who are following up this event. I'll mention a few who have participated or are continuing to participate. The former president of Mozambique, President Chissano, is following up this event. former president of Nigeria, President Obasanjo, is following up this event. Right Honorable Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, is following up this event. Representative of former Prime Minister of Finland, Matti Ahtisaari, are following up this event. And if time permits, President Bill Clinton did promise he will follow this event. Your Excellency, we have national leaders, current and past, with us here from both Tanzania and Zanzibar. We have the spouses of national leaders, religious leaders, members from security organs, diplomatic corps and missions presented in Tanzania, academic institutions. We have the family of the late President Mkapa with us today. We also have private sector leaders, civil societies, as well as politicians from various groups. Your Excellency, a point to note, thank you very much. A point to note, Your Excellency, of particular importance, and this group are requests to stand. We do have Mkapa Fellows. These are medical staff who were recruited by President Mkapa when he started this foundation in order to serve the marginalized and underserved communities. We do have 256 of them, but here we have about 10 of them representing others, and I'll request them to stand. You recognize Mkapa Fellows. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, President Benjamini Mkapa also had recruited over 5,336 health workers, and these health workers have been deployed in rural areas, in some areas, in order to complement your government effort in provision of health. Some of them have been assimilated into the government system as time went on, as district medical officers, and some have climbed the ladder up to regional medical officers. We have 26 of them present with us. I will ask them to stand as well. They are right there. Your Excellency, we also have members of the media. All local medias are presented, but we have 2 international media with us, BBC and KTN, who are covering this event. Your Excellency, we are now into the panel discussion, creating a resilient and sustainable health system. This panel, Your Excellency, is led by Dr. Faustina Ndugulile, Member of Parliament for Gamboni, but also by professional and medical doctor. We are just in the middle of it, and I'll let them, Your Excellency, to continue. Then I'll invite the CEO of Benjamin Mkapa to formally invite you, Your Excellency, if you permit. Dr. Ndugulile, if you can please continue and finish the discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chief Moderator. Madam President, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now I will let Mr. Sanjay Rugani to complete 1 minute of his intervention, and I asked him what role can technology play in order to bridge the gaps in health systems. 1 minute.
Good, and thank you, Waziri. And we are talking about technology in terms of adaptive technology and data, and I think we had covered adaptive if we were talking about data. And I said that data for development is very critical. It gives you exponential opportunity for scalability. And we talked about healthcare data, MNO data, financial services data, food industry data, bottling company data, insurance company data, and human resource data. And I said with your ministry and the fact that we are doing a blueprint, it was really going to help us in decision making, workforce management, health commodities, which means supplies and production, and also investments. And I think finally, it also helps us for partnership management, because you know in which areas we need to focus. So I think I would end at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. And our last panelist for today is His Excellency Dr. Donald J. Wright, the U.S. Ambassador to Tanzania. Dr. Wright, Tanzania has made huge strides in the health sector in partnership with the development partners. What are the initiatives or strategies that DPG and the USG have been implementing to support the journey to self-reliance and universal health coverage? And what do you see as the successes? And what opportunities do you see that need to be capitalized on?
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Well, as it relates to self-reliance, let me assure you that the United States is committed to promoting self-reliance in our partner countries around the world. In Tanzania, this is particularly appropriate because the country was founded under the principles by the late father of your country, Julius Nyerere. And that commitment to self-reliance has been championed by successors, including the late Benjamin Mkapa. The United States has a long-standing bilateral relationship with the people and government of Tanzania, and this year we're celebrating 60 years of working together, Pamoja 60. As it relates to the development partners, let me say that over the last 20 years, Tanzania's Health Basket Fund has proven to be an excellent mechanism for strengthening Tanzania's health system and delivering results for the poor and vulnerable. This project brings together resources from multiple international development partners into government health systems to work on achieving agreed upon goals. While the United States does not contribute directly to the health basket, we have seen the effectiveness and support joint goals through the provisions of technical assistance. As it relates to UHC, let me say that the efforts of the development partners to support universal health coverage aims at supporting the government to increase access to health services when and where they're needed, without financial hardship and without compromising quality. Tanzania is not there yet, but development partners have supported the government of Tanzania to develop systems, policies, and strategies to enact universal health coverage through a single health insurance policy. As it relates to the successes, let me say I would first like to take a moment to recognize the efforts by the government of Tanzania in reaching lower middle income status ahead of schedule. This demonstrates great potential to reach new development milestones, and we are committed to supporting Tanzania to achieve these. In our mutual goal of Tanzanian self-reliance, we must focus on sustaining and improving these economic gains and translating them into real increases in household incomes and the ability of each individual citizen, particularly in the rural areas of this country, to access quality health care. We development partners are committed to strengthening collaboration among ourselves and ensuring that our development support is well coordinated as we engage with our government counterparts. There are certainly opportunities to improve our partnership with the government of Tanzania and ministries and departments, and hope they will commit to the same level of coordination.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Wright. And now, to wrap up our discussions, I'll start from far left. Sanjay, I'm going to give you 1 minute. The President is here. The President of Zanzibar is here. 1 minute takeaway message. What do you want the President and the congregation to hear? 1 minute.
Okay, 43 years since we started universal health coverage. Our commitment is by 2030, we are going to hit massive milestones. How are we going to do that? My message to the government, and since the President is here, is the partnerships we have seen in the last 43 years are wanting. We need to have real partnerships so that we achieve our targets in the next 7 years. My contribution to the private sector, the CEOs who I work with, is that including COVID-19 has taught us that investment in health drives economic prosperity, and economic prosperity drives business. Thank you.
You want to see more partnership and engagement of the private sector?
Absolutely.
Ambassador Wright, 1 minute. What prioritized action leadership and the stakeholders need to undertake going forward?
Thank you. Well, let me begin by quoting one of our former presidents of the United States, George W. Bush, who founded the PEPFAR program and launched global investments in fighting HIV and malaria. He once said, Africa's most valuable resource is not its oil, is not its diamonds, it's the talent and creativity of its people. Madam President, I urge you to continue investing in the people of Tanzania, particularly the youth. One of the most critical needs faced by Tanzania today is human resources for health care. In some remote areas of the country, 70% of healthcare positions are vacant. And overall in Tanzania, the vacancy rate is about 52%. While we've seen important strides made in increasing public sector hiring, critical shortages exist, which are particularly problematic for reaching goals around reducing maternal mortality. Midwives and doctors are needed to provide essential maternity care. More progress must be made quickly to expand all cadres of the health system to enable the nation to be resilient in the face of COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Wright. You mentioned that we need to invest in the people and also build the capacity in the human resource for health. Dr. Fatma Mrisho, you've been very passionate about reproductive and sexual health. Now is the right time for you also your message to be heard. What is your 1 minute take-home message?
The first one is fully finance the 5th Health Sector Strategic Plan. I keep on repeating this because the 5th Health Sector Strategic Plan is for strengthening the health system. The second one is I keep on repeating, invest in human resources for health, particularly the ones that are missing most and key to reproductive health, since that's my topic. Midwives and pharmaceutical health assistants, very key. The third one is make maternal and child health issues a national priority in collaboration with non-state actors, particularly non-governmental organizations who are very capable, increasingly showing capacity in this country, as well as the private for-profit sector.
Thank you, Dr. Fatma Mrisho, for that very powerful closing remarks. And I'll end with Dr. Lauren Dumbaro. One minute take-home message.
Thank you very much. I think the first one is we should use the experience of 1970s and 80s in raising awareness of people against non-communicable diseases. And the second one is that as we work on the volunteer program framework, I think we continue to work, we'll need engagement of various stakeholders so that the government in long-term perspective may approve that framework and you can start using volunteers in these remote areas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ndumbaro, for those remarks. You are mentioning that we should revisit. This is not a new experience, although the burden of disease has changed, but there are best practices from the past that we can revisit. But also, I'm happy to hear that you're talking about the volunteer program framework, whereby we can engage the unemployed health workers to provide service while we are building the capacity and use them when you employ them, because they'll be providing service, but also they'll be getting the substantial experience while they volunteer in the health system. Now, I've wrapped up with the panelists. Now, I would like to welcome contributions from the floor. Okay. Yes, I've seen some hands. And I'll start with Dr. Khalid, the Minister of State, Vice President's Office, Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar. Could you pass on the mic to Dr. Ali? Dr. Khalid Mohammed is the Minister for State.
Thank you.
Dr. Khalid, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr.
3 minutes. Yes. Yes, sir.
Moderator, for giving me this opportunity to give my comments to the panelists. Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, first let me commend the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation for organizing this important event. I also commend the moderator and the panelists for the very insightful and enlightening discussion. My humble comments are centered on the need to have a multi-sectoral approach and effective coordination mechanism in health-related issues. As we all know, the health sector has numerous sectors, as already said, but having different roles, objectives, and approaches in supporting and in the provision of healthcare services. These actors included the government, donor agencies, private sector, NGOs, CSOs, and others. But within the government itself, we have different institutions having different roles, and all those can contribute positively to achieve positive health incomes. We have, for example, Ministry of Agriculture. It has got a role of making sure that we have adequate, nutritious food for good health. Ministry of Water, for making sure that what we drink is clean and safe. Responsibilities for the Ministry of Communication and Infrastructures to ensure that connectivity that allow people to have an easy access to health facilities. And all this calls for intersectoral linkages and coordination. But also looking at the Ministry of the Ministry of Health itself, there is also a need to have internal intra-coordination. If you look at the aspects, 3 important aspects: the health structure, we have the primary healthcare units, we have the district, we have the region, and we have the referral hospitals. All this needs to be interconnected and to have effective coordination within the organization itself. But even personnel, we have practitioners, we have specialists and other supporting staff. They also need to be connected, and therefore there is a need for intra-coordination within the organization itself. Services that are offered, we have different services that are offered in the health sector. Diagnostic services, for example, epidemiology services, drugs and treatment, logistic, and all these call for effective coordination of department sections to make sure that they all work in a more coordinated manner and not working in silos. My personal view is that health issue being multi-sectoral in nature, it needs multi-sectoral approach and effective coordination both sectorally and centrally. For the central coordination to be effective, I think we have to define an overarching objective and a common goal in the health sector. Once we define that, stakeholders' roles and activities need to be streamlined to make sure that we achieve the defined goal.
Thank you very much, Khalid, for that very informative contribution. I saw Charlene Bahuguma, representative for UNICEF. Please, you can now have your floor. You have 3 minutes, Charlene.
Asante sana. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. It's a privilege to be able to speak today at this prestigious event. Truly, President Mkapa's vision was exemplary because he put human resources and human capital first, understanding the need to invest in children, in education, in health, in social sectors, in social protection, and in prevention of violence against women and children. So indeed, we are standing on excellent progress that the country has made since then under the different leaders, including today with Her Excellency Mama Samia at the lead. So let me start with the first thing. You know, all the contributions today talking about health systems resilience stand on one fundamental transformational issue, and that is the equality between men and women, boys and girls. Unless we have all girls who enter school exiting, today we only have a third of girls who enter primary school exiting and making it into secondary education and out into the world of work. Unless we will continue to get adolescent girls who are mothers. We will continue to have girls who don't have access to health education. Families won't have access to those rights. So working concertedly on addressing these gender barriers has to be at the heart of health systems work, because without this, we will not achieve those results. And I'm proud to say that with Mama Samia's leadership, she has already flagged this as a top priority. The second issue, and it is linked very much to health, is the issue of sanitation and water. This too has been flagged by various people, but I do want to say that currently we've made huge progress, but still less than 50% of households have access to hand washing or sanitation. If Ebola and the COVID-19 outbreak have shown us anything, it's that we have to consistently invest, including in social norm change, so that Tanzania can become the leader in not just East Africa, but Africa in these statistics, because they underpin access to health and indeed access to better nutrition and better health. And the last point I'd like to make, 10 seconds is, my colleague said convergence. Tanzania has excellent frameworks and policies. The National Accelerated Action and Investment Agenda for Adolescent Health and Well-Being that was recently launched, the National Adolescent Health Development Strategy. We're developing an early childhood development framework with parliamentarians leading this, looking at children as a composite, as a whole, and multi-sectoral services to them will unleash Tanzania's potential. And indeed, not just low-middle income, we can move up to high-income country status with that. Asante.
Thank you very much, Charlene. Now, I saw Dr. Malina Njerekela, the Chief of Parts of Boresha Afya. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Pack your message and a take-home message in 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Moderator, Your Excellency, the President of United Republic of Tanzania. My 1 minute message to you, Moderator, and the panelists is that we are talking about universal health coverage. We cannot discuss universal health coverage without taking into consideration emerging infectious diseases such as COVID-19. And you have all put it very clearly, in order to implement well the strategies to fight these pandemics, the issue of human resource, the issue of data, as Sanjay has said, the issue of partnerships from the US ambassador. These are some of the 3 major issues which we need to address as a country, but also political commitment is important, because all these partnerships will be forged through political will. We are seeing very clearly how our president is taking up the role of fighting COVID-19, and we will follow suit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marina, for that very wonderful contribution. Now, I saw Dr. Florence Tim, the Executive Director, AMREF. Also, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Moderator, and Her Excellency, our President, and all leaders. It's my pleasure to be part of this contribution, and I congratulate Benjamini Mkapa, together with the government of Tanzania, for arranging this symposium in a very special way to mark the legacy of our late president. My 1 minute contribution is actually to contribute to the role of the implementing partners. And here I mean the non-state actors and the NGOs. It has been well said by Dr. Mrisho there, but I want to indicate that as we do the implementation as NGOs or NSAs, we are working both on the supply side, but also on the demand side. And we're actually working with from the national level down to the community level. That means our contribution is actually aligned to the national priorities and the global priorities. At the same time, we're influencing the change that we intend to see. And on the supply side, we're also looking at the 6 building blocks of the health systems, but also on the demand side, ensure that communities' knowledge and access to knowledge about health services, but access to services also being attained. In so doing, much as we are supporting the government and also the capacity building, we are also building our own capacities. So in fact, there's a lot of capacities among the implementing partners, and so I encourage our funders, the government, to continue to support NGOs. We have seen evidence from Benjamini Mkapa. My second point is on the sustainability.
Just
1 minute, just sustainability issue. That's very important. Talking of sustainability, we are looking more on the financial sustainability. But in fact, you should also look at the institutional sustainability, but also social sustainability. Talking of institutional sustainability, I mean, even NGOs, I think it's high time to also finance our strategies, apart from just projects, support NGOs to continue to exist so that they can support all these concerted efforts that are really important in sustaining our intended goals.
Thank you. The last contribution from the floor will be Ken Kwaku. Mike? Yes, Ken Kwaku was the World Bank Country Director, former, but also an advisor to President Mkapa. You'll be the last contributor from the floor. The mic, please, to him. No, you need to have a mic.
First is it is important that we follow the concept of self-reliance in all of this. I think the reality of what has come out of the COVID-19 in terms of every country, every region is taking care of their own. We cannot build our health systems as we try to build our development progress on handouts or expecting others to take care of us. We must make taking care of ourselves #1 priority, both regionally, continentally, and nationally. That is #1. Secondly, I think, and this cooperation for our own development can take place in better trading. You know, we now have the African continental free trade area, medical research, manufacturing of antiretrovirals, etc. All of this must be homegrown within Africa. I think the problem of sustainability also depends on the empowerment of women and girl children. This is central to the health education, sexual health education effort. The empowerment of our women in all aspects. Thirdly, I think it is important that we involve African, local, traditional leaders in the advocacy that we are doing in the use of our own languages. In East Africa, you are lucky to have Kiswahili, which is broad, but in many other parts of Africa, you have dialects, etc., that are not integrated into the advocacy and the message. At the same time, we need to examine the relevance of our own moral standards, cultural practices in sexual education. We don't have to necessarily follow what the Catholic Church or what Western morals tell us. So that is, we must really use
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Ken Kwaku. I think we have come to the end of these panel discussions. And the take-home message is that I'm getting from the panel discussions that I'm seeing the willingness and the commitment to collaborate and support the government initiatives from the development partners, from the private sector, and also from the non-state actors. The message was also very clear that we need to invest in young people, women, and health of the children. We need to support and invest adequately on the Health Sector Strategic Plan 5 in order to build a resilient and a robust health system. We also need to invest in a human resource for health and adopt innovative approaches to address the human resource gaps. We need to revisit the past experiences in order to come up with a strategy to address the challenge that we are currently seeing in the changing disease pattern, especially with the advent of non-communicable diseases and the COVID-19. But we also need to have a proper coordination and a multi-sector approach towards universal health coverage. But lastly, use of data and technology in addressing and building a sustainable health system. Thank you very much. It was an honor for me to chair this and moderate these panel discussions. And thank you all the panelists and all the contributors from the floor. And now, moderator.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Applause front. Thank you. Your Excellency, it's an opportune time I briefly call upon the CEO of Benjamini Mkapa Foundation to briefly welcome you. Dr. Eleni Sonkoro is the first CEO of Benjamini Mkapa Foundation since inception up to present time. She's a medical doctor by profession and a public health specialist, having experience in both public and private sector. Dr. Sonkoro, brief introduction and welcome to Her Excellency, please.
Thank you. Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, Your Excellency former Presidents of the United Republic of Tanzania and former Presidents of Zanzibar, Your Excellencies former heads of states and governments and friends of late former President Benjamin William Mkapa, First Vice President and Second Vice Presidents of the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, Mama Anna Mkapa, the widow of the late President Benjamin William Mkapa, honorable ministers from the Union Government and the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, members of diplomatic corps, our esteemed partners and donors, chair and trustees of the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation Board of Trustees, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen. It is our pleasure to have you, Your Excellency, President Samia Suluhu Hassan. We thank you for sharing with us your precious time. We just saw you arriving yesterday from Dodoma to be here with us and grace this commemoration. Tunasema asante sana, Mama. We started with the panel session, which you found it on the midway, with this main focus on health for all. As you may recall, Tanzania and other countries in the world are committed to implementing the Sustainable Development Goals, which are anchored on the premise of not leaving anyone behind. In the third goal, our country and the world have committed to ensuring universal health care by 2030. The aim is to ensure that everyone, everywhere, all the time, can have unhindered access to quality health care, but whether it is distance-related or income-related. We are delighted that your government is keen to achieve that. The just launched Health Sector Strategic Plan 5 of 2021 to 2026 has anchored on the same. We, the Mkapa Foundation, have a vested interest to see that commitment is delivered and stands to support your government in all ways possible. We were part of the HSSP 5 preparations and will be part of its implementation. The panel today was just a teaser towards that end. It reflected on what to be done by the government non-state actors, and donors to achieve the universal health coverage in Tanzania. Human capital, health infrastructure, health systems, community health systems, and resilience, financing matters were all among the issues that came out from this panel. Your Excellency, the late President Benjamin William Mkapa was always ahead of time. His vision for this foundation, way back when it was established 15 years ago, was to focus to ensure quality health for all, the far-to-reach and underserved areas. These are places and spaces with fewer projects, interventions, and donor-supported initiative. The strengthening of the health system, human resource for health and health infrastructure became our major focus areas of support. He challenged us to ensure that we come out with solutions that will answer these challenges. And that has been the niche of this foundation. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, you may wish to know that since our establishment, about 20 million Tanzanians have been reached out and benefited by our programs and interventions. About 9,000 plus health workers have been employed and deployed to underserved areas, and these include skilled medical professionals as well as community health workers. This perhaps makes Mkapa Foundation the second largest employer in the health sector after the government. We have about 537 health facilities that have been built and rehabilitated countrywide. During the COVID-19 emergency, which we had it from March 2020, we worked very closely with the government and deployed about 2,500 community health workers to assist with the community education and facilitation. Your Excellency, behind all these achievements, there is a vision of a man, the one we are commemorating today. He did so much to his country while in office and after his term ended in office. He dedicated his life to the poor and underserved. We feel strongly that we have a duty to honor his life and celebrate his legacy. We're determined to carry over from where he ended and doing our level best to keep his ideas and conviction immortal and impactful. It is why we commemorate this day from now onwards. I welcome Your Excellency to be with us, and we are all excited to hear from you today. Asante sana. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We do now have an opportunity to hear the impact of Benjamin Mkapa life to society, and none but Ambassador Ombani Sefue, former Chief Secretary, is going to deliver that. Ambassador Sefue is a former Chief Secretary to the President of Tanzania, and previously he was the permanent representative for Tanzania to the United Nations between 1993 and 1995. He worked as a speechwriter and personal assistant to two presidents, President Ali Hassan Mwinyi, 1993 to 1995, and President Benjamin Mkapa, 1995 to 2005. Ambassador Sefue, please.
Your Excellency, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, President of the Regional Government of Zanzibar, Excellencies, former presidents, leadership of the foundation, Mama Mkapa and the Mkapa family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. A year has passed since President Mkapa was called to glory. Fond memories, deep emotions simmer in me. What can I say that will do justice to his life and impact? But let me try. Madam President, I'm honored to speak today as we remember him, an outstanding individual, a loving husband, dedicated father, a doting grandfather, and president of the third phase government of Tanzania. But who really was Mkapa? He began his public career in the Foreign Service, and his passion for foreign relations and international cooperation never ended. His masterful conduct of our diplomacy has left a lasting impact on Tanzania's image. He also went into the media and fell in love with it. Not just any trash that masquerades as journalism, but quality journalism. Then politics called, and fortunately for Tanzania, he answered the call. And the rest is history. President Mkapa liked to read newspapers, journals, books. I often helped him identify and acquire new books and journals. When traveling abroad, he would always find time to visit bookshops, browse, buy. Otherwise, I'd help him with this. He preferred reading books to idle chatter or self-serving flattery. It could be difficult to get to his inner circle. An excellent student of literature, he lived William Shakespeare's dictum: love all, trust a few, do wrong to none. He was always a leader always, never a ruler. He wanted people to follow him, not because they are fearful of him, rather because they trusted him, and he earned their trust. He hated the cult of personality, refusing to be called Mtukufu or to have his picture on the national currency. He disputed the notion that politics is a dirty game. An erudite debater, he welcomed being challenged and dared anyone to dislodge him from his intellectual pedestal of thought and belief. During the 1995 elections, a political debate was conducted between presidential candidates, and his formidable debating skills were in full display. Others saw him as arrogant. He wasn't. He just did not like mediocrity. He always listened carefully to all opinions and perspectives before he made a decision. He believed people should be able to disagree without being disagreeable. Aristotle said, "It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it." And President Mkapa would concur. He was a devout Catholic, attending Mass every Sunday. He respected other people's faiths, a matter he insisted was personal and private. His faith did not influence how he ran the government or related with people. He valued work and gave it the best he had, with amazing discipline in whatever he did. He lived the code of life of his Benedictine missionary teachers: ora et labora, pray and work. He worked hard even when he was sick, like when he was admitted to hospital in Zurich for surgery, even insisting on delivering his monthly address to the nation from there. That was Mkapa. As a leader, he held the country together and helped us overcome political, social, economic, and natural challenges as one people, one country. A firm believer in the union between Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar, he spared no effort to defend and strengthen it. He always insisted that even in the context of a unique union structure, we were and must remain the United Republic of Tanzania. He was the comforter-in-chief when Mwalimu Nyerere passed away, when his vice president, Dr. Omar Ali Juma, died, when El Nino floods wreaked havoc, when MV Bukoba capsized, and when the nation faced political challenges, including those in Zanzibar. He led increased national efforts to fight the scourge of HIV and AIDS, and its impact. He believed in good governance and strong but accountable institutions, holding that government is not about an individual, but about such institutions led by capable people of integrity and dedication. He hated corruption. One of his first decisions as president was to establish the Warioba Commission on Corruption. He believed in truth and transparency, wazi na ukweli, as he would put it. And he would say, I'd rather you hate me for being open with you than having you love me for not being straight with you. At the end of each month, he would talk directly to the people through radio and television. It was like civic education at the national scale, and citizens would stop whatever they were doing to listen to him. He carried forward the open economy agenda of his predecessor, President Mwinyi, creating a conducive environment for private sector participation in the economy and developing a new partnership between government and the private sector. He created institutional frameworks for dialogue with investors, including those in the mining sector, enabling him to open 4 gold mines during the last 4 years of his administration. He established forums for this dialogue, which he personally chaired, including the CEO Roundtable, the Tanzania National Business Council, the International Investors Roundtable, and many others. And these were open and objective dialogues. His government did not go there to defend entrenched positions, and he won the trust and confidence of local and international investors. Although deep down he remained a socialist, he believed there are many ways to skin the cat. Development partners responded positively, development assistance increased, and he got debt relief for the country. He expanded primary and secondary education, enrollment, removing school fees in primary schools to ensure all children complete a full primary education. He created Development Vision 2025. Although he created the space for large-scale investments, he remained a firm believer in inclusive development, that no one should be left behind. He therefore established the Business Environment Strengthening for Tanzania program to reduce the cost of doing business, including for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. He believed in the concept of smart partnership, win-win situation for everyone, nationally and globally. He co-chaired the Investment Climate Facility that strived to make Africa more attractive to domestic and foreign investment. President Mkapa embraced Mwalimu Nyerere's Pan-African and nationalist agenda and ideals. Like Mwalimu, he strongly opposed the notion of exploitation. He had great empathy for suffering people everywhere. He strongly promoted and defended African interests in the global political and economic spheres. This was evident in the regional, continental, and global responsibilities he undertook, whether in power or out of power. And these included the World Commission on the Social Dimension of Globalization, the Blair Commission, the Commission for Africa, the Smart Partnership International Dialogue, and many others. In retirement, he was patron of Viongozi Institute's Africa Leadership Forum, bringing together fellow retired African presidents like Presidents Mbeki, Obasanjo, Mohae, Chisano, among others, to discuss matters of topical interest for the continent with sitting presidents and other current and future leaders and stakeholders. I do hope the forum will be sustained in his honor and memory. President Mkapa believed in peace and stability in Tanzania and in Africa. He was active in peacemaking efforts in Eastern Africa and Great Lakes region. From him I learned that peace comes not from the absence of conflict in life, but from the ability to cope with it. President Mkapa was concerned that economic growth was not reducing poverty at the rate he would have liked to see. He did not want to see anyone left behind. So he took several initiatives. He established TASAF to empower the poor to work themselves out of poverty. And the impact of TASAF on poverty reduction is demonstrable. TASAF has now reached all corners of Tanzania, giving poor people the tools that they need for self-development. He established Mkurabita, Property and Business Formalization Program, to empower the poor by increasing their access to financial markets and other services through formalization of their property rights, enabling them to leverage their assets in a market economy dispensation. Other initiatives include the Tanzania Mini Tiger Plan 2020, in order to unlock broad-based growth through special economic zones and industrial parks, hoping to use them to attain the 10% GDP growth that he had hoped for. So he established this Tanzania Mini Tiger Plan 2020 to realize that goal. In retirement, as we heard, he established this foundation to support government efforts in the health sector. And he was deeply disturbed, as we heard, by unequal access to quality care, especially in very remote and underserved areas. Madam President, for 10 years, President Mkapa provided leadership to Tanzania, leaving us with considerable experience and knowledge of what works and what does not. What to do with this knowledge is the challenge of current and future leaders and citizens. He believed in human rights, whether political or civil, whether economic, social, cultural. And these include the right to life, a life in peace, the right to earn a livelihood through equal economic opportunities and job creation, the right to basic health care, both preventive and curative, the right to justice and education, the right to political expression, but not political thuggery, the right to freedom of expression and worship without infringing or curtailing the freedom and faith of others. Madam President, I do hope I have done justice to his legacy. Above all, I hope that were he to hear me today, he would have approved and felt vindicated for having trusted me to be his personal assistant during those 10 years. After he launched his autobiography 2 years ago, he had determined to translate it into Kiswahili so that all Tanzanians could read and learn from it. As always, I agreed to assist him, and the week he died, I had planned to see him so that we could start. Now he's gone. But with Mama Mkapa's approval and the support of Viongozi Institute, I am determined to conclude the work exactly as he had intended to. And with the penmanship he would have approved. And may God help me to serve him well even now. Yes, even this sad time has flown. A year has passed. But his memory remains fresh and enduring in our hearts and minds. May he continue to rest in eternal peace. And may God continue to grant solace to Mama Anna, to the children, to the grandchildren. And I thank you for your kind attention.
Asante sana, Balozi Sefue. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sefue. Your Excellency, this event is followed globally, and we got in touch with various heads of states. One of them is a former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, Right Honorable Tony Blair. Because of COVID travel restriction, he really wanted to be here physically with us. He has sent his condolence and message. But there's a short video of less than 3 minutes that he wants all of us in this room and globally to hear what he has to say for President Mkapa legacy. Tony Blair, video, please.
Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure and honor to say these words in celebration of the life and achievements of Ben Mkapa. Ben started, as you all know, mentored by Julius Nyerere, He was Minister for Foreign Affairs at the time of the liberation struggle across Africa. He played an enormous part under the guidance of President Nyerere, his mentor. But then, when he became president of Tanzania, his achievements were quite extraordinary. He inherited a very difficult set of economic circumstances. He stabilized the currency. He reduced inflation dramatically down, I think, from 27% to 4%. He increased foreign direct investment in the country ninefold. And he built a lot of what is today Tanzania's modern infrastructure, particularly on roads. I knew him, got to know him most through his work with the Commission for Africa, the body that was set up prior to the Gleneagles G7 summit in 2005, where Africa was going to be one of the main topics. Ben's contribution in the run-up to that summit was immense. He was a passionate advocate for the continent of Africa. And out of that came the commitments to debt cancellation that Ben himself then used as president in order to be able to change radically the number of children at school, not just in Tanzania, but across the continent. Then, of course, after leaving office, he founded the Mlimani City Foundation that bears his name, that does such amazing healthcare work, that has advocated, for example, not just in respect of HIV/AIDS, but across the whole pattern of healthcare needs in Tanzania and elsewhere, and is a big supporter of universal health coverage. I think he'd be immensely proud of the work the foundation's done on his behalf and in his memory. So I look back on my time and my friendship with Ben as one of the most rewarding political associations I had in my time in office and afterwards. And I regard him as someone who was an outstanding leader, a great patriot, a statesman, a campaigner, and a warm and decent and good-hearted human being. So it really is for me, as I say, a pleasure and an honor to say these words in support of his commemoration. His name lives on, it deserves to live on. His legacy is one of which he and all who work with him can be immensely proud.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, when the government of Tanzania and the Benjamini Mkapa Foundation was planning for this, we also reached to the former President of the United States, William Jefferson Clinton, Bill Clinton, for the second President of the United States of America. He really wanted to be with us, but again, as the situation dictates, he could not travel. He commented that when this symposium started, it would be very early hours of the morning. He may try to join, maybe he has joined virtually or not. However, he was generous enough to send his message to you, Your Excellency, and the audience, and I'll request his personalized message to be played as he commemorates the work of President Mkapa.
Madam President, distinguished guests, I am honored that you've invited me to join you and the Mkapa Foundation today to celebrate the life and legacy of our friend President Benjamini Mkapa. I want to begin by sharing my deep condolences with you and all the people of Tanzania on the passing of two presidents in less than 1 year, President Mkapa and President John Magufuli. I was proud to work with President Mkapa when I was President of the United States and through the Clinton Health Access Initiative, or CHI, after leaving office. In 2002, he invited CHI to partner with the government of Tanzania to expand access to HIV/AIDS treatments and save the lives of thousands of Tanzanians dying from the virus each year. As CHI worked with global manufacturers to reduce drug prices, the government, under the personal leadership of President Mkapa, worked with our support to strengthen the health system, including the expansion of HIV testing laboratories, supply chain health infrastructure, and data systems. The vision and commitment shown by President Mkapa helped make Tanzania the first country in the region to have a comprehensive and government-led antiretroviral program. I congratulate the government that those efforts have only continued to grow stronger. President Mkapa was also passionate about strengthening human resources for health. And in 2005, we joined together to create the Mkapa Fellows Program to address the health worker crisis that was hindering the scale-up of HIV care and treatment services. The program used creative strategies for attracting and retaining health workers in remote areas, including deploying teams of highly skilled providers in hard-to-reach facilities. On my visits to Tanzania through the years, I was always pleased to visit with Mkapa Fellows and see their progress. I am so gratified that the work of the Mkapa Foundation is now expanded to address other health issues beyond HIV/AIDS, including the pursuit of national universal health coverage. We can't shy away from the need to have well-organized primary health services, a robust disease surveillance system, adequate domestic capacity to innovate and scale up production and logistics of much-needed medical products, and a flexible system that can learn continuously and adapt to meet changing global health needs. CHI is committed to working with the government of Tanzania to achieve this vision and to continue addressing urgent health challenges, including HIV/AIDS, malaria, vaccines, reproductive health, non-communicable diseases, and the COVID-19 pandemic. So thank you again for the opportunity to be part of this special tribute. I liked and admired President Mkapa very much, and my very best wishes to all of you and to all the people of Tanzania.
Your Excellency, as mentioned earlier, President Mkapa groomed young medical staff, and these are beneficiaries of Mkapa Foundation. We have 726 of them, but we have over 5,000 health workers across the country. There is one particular young man that was groomed by President Mkapa right when he graduated from Medical University at Muhimbili in 2004. So he was taken as a Mkapa Fellow, and this young man was later employed by the government as a medical officer in Morogoro, then later transferred to SIA, and now, Madam President, as we speak, this young man, Dr. Kushiriki.
Good morning. Your Excellency, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency, President of Zanzibar, former heads of states, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor I stand here in front of your presence to say a few words about the former president and settler of the foundation. We, together with my other fellows, were among the first entrants to the Mkapa Fellows Program and had the privilege of facing unforeseen challenges head-on. After being posted to one of the underserved areas in the country, I came to the true realization of actual challenges that were ahead of us. Key among which, as have already been said, were scarcity of resources, geographical barriers, and how best to link and integrate with existing government structures to bring about the needed results. Before being posted, the foundation imparted us with some skills and knowledge needed to address the expected challenges, but a lot was acquired on the field. The Fellows Program was my inception to public service, and despite the turbulent journey, it has been key to some of my achievements at certain levels. However, these achievements cannot be attributed to any one single person, but a team comprising of health professionals as well as government and non-government institutions. One of the key lessons that I have learned in this journey is the role of leadership in achieving set goals. Challenges are bound to happen and exist, and the role of leadership is to provide a way to meet set goals despite the challenges. This has been the key and the backbone of the Foundation's success and hallmark of the late settler and founder, His Excellency Benjamini Mkapa. Key leadership attributes that are recognized, portrayed by the late settler, were an idealized influence. He acted as a role model to many of us. He still does. He was a visionary with a clear focus on the target and showed significance towards the cause. He emphasized on being creative, innovative, and tolerant of seemingly extreme situations. He took a keen interest on the well-being of people and paid attention to details. These constitute, ladies and gentlemen, key features of a transformational leader and have been key to the success of the Foundation. One key addition to this from me is to keep living while you're gone. And that's why we're still gathered here today, celebrating his life and believing in his cause despite his absence. May he continue to rest eternally in peace, and may God bless Africa, God bless Tanzania, and God bless the Benjamini Mkapa Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, as I mentioned earlier, among the people following us virtually is former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, a comrade to President Mkapa, and he sent his greetings, and because of technology, he has recorded a short video clip so that we all get to hear what President Obasanjo has to say. President Obasanjo, please.
With the death of President Benjamini Mkapa of Tanzania, Africa has lost a vocal advocate for unity, development, and progress of Africa. I came to know him as a Chief Information Officer before he was assigned as High Commissioner of his country to Nigeria in 1976 when I was military head of state. And I believe his choice for that post was influenced by the need for close work together between Nigeria and Tanzania, his country, on the issues of decolonization and apartheid in South Africa in particular, and Southern Africa as a whole. And of course, it happened that way. Over that period, the frontline states intensified action against the regimes in South Africa and Southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and supported fighting against reactionary forces in Angola. Nigeria became a member of the frontline state. Benjamin Mkapa worked relentlessly for these special enhanced relationships between Nigeria and the frontline states. Later on, he became the elected president of his country. Part of the time, I also became a democratically elected president of Nigeria. Again, we had opportunity to work together. He never at any time failed to see his role in office or out of office as a champion for Africa liberation, unity, development, and progress. I found in him a reliable friend, an ally, and a confidant. We work together under the auspices of the African Union, NEPAD, and APRM. He made constructive contributions at the various fora in and out of government at charting a new future for Africa, particularly in the areas of HIV/AIDS, launching of the ILO report on a fair globalization, creating opportunities for all, the South Center, World Commission on the Social Dimension of Globalization, among others. Upon our exit from the presidency, I frequently called on him for support and advice on issues of interest to Africa. He was always welcoming, accommodating, and he offered wise counsel with an open, charitable, and progressive heart. He was passionate about peace and security in the Great Lakes region, where we both work together, as well as on leadership issues in Africa. He spearheaded an annual meeting titled Africa Leadership Forum, and he made me a regular annual participant of that forum. He was, with me, a member of Interaction Council of former heads of government, of which I was a pioneer member as far back as 1983, and also a member of Club Madrid. At all the meetings he participated in, his voice rang loudly for Africa and nothing less than the best interest of Africa. We cannot do better than to sustain his legacy as a true African leader committed to African development and progress. That was his cause, and it is his legacy to be cherished and sustained. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Thank you, President Obasanjo. Now, Your Excellency, we hear remarks from Board of Trustees, and I'll welcome the Chairperson of Board of Trustees, Dr. Adelina Kimambo, who is a public health specialist with over 40 years' experience, having worked in the government in the Ministry of Health in Tanzania as Director of Training for Human Resource Development and co-chair of Public-Private Partnership Health Forum, TPH. Dr. Adelina Kimambo.
Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, Your Excellencies, former Presidents of the United Republic of Tanzania and former Presidents of Zanzibar, Your Excellencies, former heads of state and governments and friends of late former President Benjamin William Mkapa, Mama Anne Mkapa, widow of the late President Benjamin William Mkapa, honorable ministers of the United Republic of Tanzania and the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, members of diplomatic corps, our esteemed partners, trustees of the Benjamin William Mkapa Foundation Board of Trustees, representatives from the private sector and the non-state actors, family and friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm standing here on behalf of the Board of Trustees of the Mkapa Foundation to once again thank you for coming, for honoring us with your presence in commemorating our esteemed, beloved settler and founder of the foundation, His Excellency late Benjamin William Mkapa. I happened by the accident of history to be the first chair of the Board of Trustees after the death of the former and settler. What an event trembling is the fact that I did not see it coming anytime soon. It was so comforting to be the chair of the great foundation, knowing that having a heavyweight settler on my back in the name of President Benjamin William Mkapa, I could consult him with anything, anytime, and reach out to his guidance and wisdom all the time. You can imagine how devastated I was and how empty I felt to have lost him that sudden. A year after his death, I have yet to recover. Fortunately, late former President William Mkapa was a visionary man. He believed so much in institution than personal. For that reason, earlier on, he entrusted the board with governing function. Little did we know then he was preparing us for enduring and sustaining this foundation before his physical presence. A year after, we thank him for his foresight and vision. He prepared us so well to carry over from where he ended. We are already and determined to march ahead, tall and bold. We will follow his footsteps and sustain his legacy to our children, children's children, and the children after them. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been achieved by the foundation in the past 15 years of our existence. This is evident in numbers and in impact. About 537 health facilities at different places countrywide have been built and rehabilitated. These facilities have been built in far and hard-to-reach areas which otherwise would have been left out. By doing so, we have increased and improved access to quality health care for women, children, men, youth, and elderly in underserved areas. Together with that, we have employed about 9,000 health workers to bring existed, and about 90% of them have been retained in service. Thanks to the infrastructure that were built by the foundation that provided an incentive for many to remain. Beyond strengthening health system, health infrastructure, and human resources for health, the foundation has not shied away from emerging and disruptive health crises. During the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in early 2020, the foundation swiftly joined the national efforts in responding to the outbreak. To date, we have deployed 583 skilled health workers and 2,466 community health workers working in different parts of the country in regions on risk to ensure health promotion, prevention, care and treatment of COVID-19 cases as per defined national guidelines. The success and the impact we have recorded could not have been possible if not for the generous support we received from our donors and partners. These include the Norway government that provided the initial financial support to establish the foundation in the first 5 years. Sooner, the Global Fund for AIDS, TB, and Malaria, Irish Aid, Abbott Fund, USAID, UNICEF, UKFODO, formerly it was DFID, UNFPA, UK, Comic Relief, and Walter Reed followed suit. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for journeying with us this long. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, going forward and ensuring the continuity of this foundation, the legacy and the impact demands that we have in place a reliable and sustainable funding. And this is the very purpose why I took this podium this morning. My task is one and simple: to introduce to you the Benjamin William Mkapa Endowment Fund and to request you, Your Excellence, to inaugurate it before your keynote speech. The Endowment Fund will provide the foundation with a sustainable and long-term source of income. It is our target to raise about 33.7 billion Tanzanian shillings, which is equivalent to $15.2 million US during the first 5 years from year 2021-22 to year 2025-26. These funds will also contribute to bridge the gaps in the implementation of our 5 years strategic plan for 2019 to 2024, particularly those projects and interventions that do not attract donor funds. The mobilized financial resources will be invested in perpetuity to generate fixed income streams that will be used towards supporting and sustaining the work of the foundation. All key underlying investment principles of preservation of purchasing power, risk aversion, and adherence to investment discipline will be applied by the foundation in ensuring the endowment fund investment is worthwhile and meets the intended goals. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this endowment fund, which is to be launched today, will aim at supporting the following areas. 1, awarding of annual scholarships, health workers keen to continue with further studies in clinical, public health, and any other relevant issues in medical field. This will target to fill up gaps of specific health cadres in high demand within the country, and particularly those serving at the primary healthcare levels. 2, facilitate deployment of skilled health workers, also known as the Mkapa Fellows, to underserved areas with the intention to curb the bottleneck of shortage of skilled health personnel in both government and non-government healthcare facilities to ensure equitable quality access of health services within the society. 3, to support remote health facilities within the country with refurbishment and or equipment by targeting the basic essential health services to save lives, such as maternal, newborn, child and adolescent health care. 4, to support the emerging and re-emerging health conditions and emergencies such as COVID-19 Ebola, and alike by aligning to the internationally defined principle of emergency preparedness, readiness, and response. Number 5, awarding the civil societies and/or grassroots community-based organizations combating challenges of public health significance with the aim of empowering community to continue identifying and having community-owned solutions through working within sustainable community-based systems and structures. And 6, to support the annual Mkapa Legacy Month and other board-approved interventions. Your Excellency, I'm standing here to assure you that the BMF Endowment Fund will be managed with transparency, accountability, flexibility, efficiency, and trustworthiness. The Board of Trustees will be the owner and overall responsible to govern the endowment fund, including directing and monitoring the investment management of funds, assets, and this fund will also be subjected to external auditor review. Our track record speaks for itself. Every shilling will be invested prudently, and every cent will be spent judiciously and accounted for transparently. As soon as the endowment fund is launched today, the foundation will begin the outreach phase for mobilizing resources for the fund. Yes, the figure may appear big, but our purpose and our partnership are big enough to achieve this target. And we don't expect to raise this amount alone. When we put this projection, we had you in our partners, our supporters, and friends in our mind. You have all along been with us, and our gut feeling tells us that you will march towards with us. We have confidence in you that together we shall achieve this target. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, mine is an appeal to the government of Tanzania, revolutionary government of Zanzibar, our development partners, private sector, friends and well-wishers of the foundation, including BMF board and staff, to generously consider donating into our endowment fund. In this way, we will all be honoring his life and legacy in words and deeds. As you may all recall, self-reliance was late President Mkapa's idea, and a repetitive appeal. He always dared us to find innovative ways and means of ensuring that sometimes later this foundation can stand on its own and reducing dependence to donors to finance its programs and projects. We thought this is the best way to honor him and live to his legacy. If he is watching us from where he is, I'm sure he will be giving us his glaring smile. We have done part of the call. We ask you to join us. I thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.
Your Excellency, and those who are following us across the globe, when President Mkapa retired from the office in 2005, he handed over the mantle to the fourth President of United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Mrisho Kikwete. It's befitting to hear the legacy from succession point of view. President Mkapa, for those who are following us across the globe, was in person to develop, and he worked with President Kikwete as his long-term serving foreign affairs ministers for 10 years. Prior to that, Dr. Kikwete served in various portfolios, including Minister of Finance, Minister of Water, Energy and Natural Resources. And prior to that, Mr. Kikwete was into the Central Committee of the ruling party, our Chama cha Mapinduzi, CCM. As the Minister for Foreign Affairs, together with President Mkapa, Dr. Kikwete led Tanzania's effort in bringing peace to Africa Great Lakes region. His foundation is to work with the government and other stakeholders to bring progressive change and transformation to people's quality of life. President Dr. Kikwete, you may take the stage. We are keen to hear the succession legacy and impact of Dr. Kikwete to the society. Please, Dr. Kikwete.
Your Excellency, Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Ali Hassan Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Zanzibar Revolutionary Council, former President Alhaji Ali Hassan Mwinyi, former President Tamani Karume, the first and second Vice President of Zanzibar, Mama Anna Mkapa and family, honorable ministers from the Union and Zanzibar government, Dr. Adeline Kimambo, Chair of the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Helen Senkoro, CEO of the Mkapa Foundation, members of the Diplomatic Corps, fellow invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I thank the organizers for inviting me and for associating me with this historic event. I commend the board and management of the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation for conceiving the idea of having this symposium and for organizing it so well. The late President Benjamin William Mkapa, my big brother, my friend, my leader, my mentor, and my predecessor very much deserves this kind of treatment. Celebrating his life and living his legacy are the right things to do. I'm glad this symposium is reminding us on the importance of doing that and on how best to do it. I'm hoping this will not be a one-off event, but it is going to be held from time to time and probably at regular intervals. Excellency, President, distinguished participants, I've known and worked with the late President Benjamin Mkapa for over 4 decades, before and after he became president, and later after he retired. Both of us were members of the National Executive Committee of Chama cha Mapinduzi since the 1980s to 2006 when he retired as chairman of the party. but I continued for another 10 years before I also retired in 2016. When he was a member of parliament for Nanyumbu constituency in Masasi district, in 1988, I had the rare privilege and honor of being the party secretary for that district. Later, for 7 years, we were together in the cabinet of our second president, His Excellency Ali Hassan Mwinyi. I started deputy minister for energy minerals, then I became minister for water, energy and minerals, and then minister of finance. He was minister of foreign affairs. Later he became minister for science and higher education, science and technology. When he was elected president, first time in 1995, and second time the year 2000, he appointed me to be his foreign minister. For all the 10 years he served at the highest office of our nation. This was the time we came to work closely, and I became one of his confidants, not only on diplomacy, but on other national issues as well. I am eternally grateful that when I contested the presidency in the year 2005, to succeed him, he supported me unconditionally. When I became president, he was one of my dependable confidants and a reliable advisor. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, throughout his life in public service, as a civil servant, to be particular as a foreign service officer, as a journalist, as ambassador, member of parliament, minister, and president, he put service to the people at the top, as a top priority agenda. He was a very bright guy, no doubt about it, big brain. He was visionary, hardworking, very eloquent, both in writing and speech. A great Pan-Africanist and an unwavering believer and promoter of regional and African unity and integration. He was passionate in the pursuit of his goals and uncompromising on issues he had strong beliefs in. He was tough, and at times he was rough. When it was necessary for him to be one. Maana wakati mwingine unalazimika kidogo kuwa. But he was a very compassionate person who cared for the sick, the poor, the suffering, and the disadvantaged. There are a number of policy initiatives and measures he took, as well as instruments he put in place and institutions he established, which speak for themselves about how compassionate Benjamin William Mkapa was. In the interest of time, the institutions are many. Allow me, Madam President, to mention a few of these. He established the Primary Education Development Program, MEM, Mpango wa Maendeleo ya Elimu ya Msingi, which was meant to revamp primary education and make it accessible to all children of primary school age. President Mkapa conceived the Tanzania Development Vision 2025 to take this great nation of ours from a least developed country to a middle income status. He established TACAIDS to spearhead the fight against HIV and AIDS. Dr. Fatima Mrisho knows it better than most of us. Wewe ndio ulikuwa wa kwanza? Wa pili. He established, he conceived the Tanzania Growth and Poverty Reduction Strategy, Mkukuta, to help people move from poverty to prosperity. Later, the Tanzania Social Action Fund to improve livelihoods in poor families at household levels. The list is long. In the interest of time, those men and everybody else who speaks, who has spoken, they have mentioned a number of them. Your Excellencies, it was his compassionate heart which led President Mkapa to establish the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation in April 2006, with the objective of advancing the health agenda in Tanzania and Africa. He was the founder and settler. He chose a very able man, young man, to be chair of the Board of Trustees in the name of Dr. Hussein Ali Hassan Mwinyi. I think I'm getting the record correct. You were a Minister of State at that time? Because you were Minister of State in my time. Yeah? Yeah? Well, the foundation was established in 2006. And at that time, he was Minister of State in the office of the Vice President. Guided by the vision of his founder and settler, and the able stewardship of the board chair, strong foundation was built, which has enabled the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation to become a formidable and a world-renowned institution it is today. Hearty congratulations to its founder and settler, but many compliments to Dr. Hussein Mwinyi for his able leadership and laying solid foundation for this wonderful institution. Also thumbs up to the successive chairs of the board after Dr. Mwinyi, and to the illustrious CEO, Dr. Helen, for a job very well done. Kazi ya bongo na mikono yenu zinaonekana. Excellencies, I was privileged to have witnessed the establishment of this wonderful institution I'm happy to say that the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation was born, grew, and thrived during my administration. I gave them all the necessary support they needed to make sure that it stands on its feet and it performs its objectives, its mission and vision. At the time of its establishment, our country was in the grip of the menace of HIV and AIDS, malaria and tuberculosis as major health-related risks. Also, there was a serious shortage of human resource for health in our health facilities. The Benjamin Mkapa Foundation volunteered to work hand in glove with the government to find homegrown solutions to these and other challenges facing the health sector. In doing so, the foundation complemented my government's efforts in implementing the 10-year primary health care development program. In fact, ours was a successor to the President Mkapa's national health policy. Because when I came in, there was already a 10-year program, national health policy, which was ending in 2007. So we came up with a successor program. That is what we call primary health care. Mpango wa maendeleo wa afya ya msingi, MAM. Mkapa alikuwa na MEM ya elimu. Mimi nikawa na MAM, mpango wa maendeleo ya afya ya msingi. A 10-year program from 2007 to 2017, and the fifth state government came up with another program which is now being implemented. Your Excellency, one of the toughest challenges I faced during my presidency was about getting skilled health workers to work in the needy but challenging settings, despite the fact that we in government were able and ready to pay their personal emoluments and other benefits. We had the money to pay them, but we had difficulties sending those people there. You appoint them, they would go and say, oh, nakwenda kuchukua mizigo yangu. He never comes back. So this was one of our biggest challenges. The Benjamin Mkapa Foundation came in to work with us in government, develop innovative health HRH solutions. The Mkapa Fellows and the others are part of this innovative program. As a result, we were able to retain 1,147 skilled health workers who later transitioned to government systems, both in Tanzania, mainland, and Zanzibar. They started with them. Later, we picked them up because they're already there. We had the problems of taking them there and making them stay. Now that they were already there, we said, okay, fine, now we are going to take them and employ them, become our employees. The foundation provided scholarships to about 937 health workers, pre-service training for 937 health workers. Furthermore, through collaborative efforts with our government, development partners, the foundation was able to construct 482 staff houses at primary health facilities. Because the other problem we had was that You take somebody, and there was no accommodation. This young man comes from the university. He goes there. He's so excited. He says, okay, this is your office. So where do you stay? Tafuta. Taka wapi we tafuta tu. So he goes there, he looks at the houses. Some of them are matembe too. So he says, okay, I'm coming. Let me just go and get organized. Never comes back. So the support we got on the construction of housing for the health professionals was a big shot in the arm for the government, for which we are grateful. But as it has already been said, the foundation also constructed and equipped 11 operating theaters, 55 health providers, trained 55 health providers on comprehensive obstetric care. To cap it all, Benjamin Mkapa helped train health managers from 134 local government authorities. They've been critical partners, important partners, demanding from us nothing other than the opportunity to be able to work. The remarkable investments contributed not only to retaining skilled health workers, but also to increase the patients enrolled in HIV care and treatment. You know, at the beginning, people were, even the medical professionals, they were shying away from handling AIDS patients. But with the support we got from the Mkapa Foundation, the people, the skilled personnel we got, at least this barrier was sort of removed, and we are now coming to the health facilities. Because at that time, to say that to be diagnosed that you are HIV positive was a big problem. So with these professionals, we were able now to handle people better. That was a remarkable contribution in the improvement of Tanzania's efforts to address the effects of the HIV and the AIDS pandemic. In collaboration with many partners and the efforts of the government, we were able in 2015, in fact, we were able to meet the MDG for reduction of infections from HIV 1 year ahead of 2015, because we moved it from 7.1 to 5.1 by 2015 when I left office. We were able to this is one I think, we were, of the MDGs, we were able to attain 2 on HIV reductions and child mortality. But we failed to meet the target for maternal mortality and newborn mortality. It is still a problem up to this day. We are still grappling with it. So I'd like to use this opportunity to applaud the foundation for being a reliable and dependable partner of the government of the Republic of Tanzania and the revolutionary government of Zanzibar. please stay the course and continue to do the good work. I trust you. You continue that. I would also like to commend our two governments, the Union government and the Zanzibar government, for sustaining and enabling environment for non-state actors to flourish. Please. Because if the government adopts a policy against non-state actors, the NGOs for that matter, if the government adopts that, then all these non-state actors, including BMF, my foundation, will find it so hard to work. President Mkapa created a base. I continued with it, and I'm glad it is now being sustained. Because the government alone will not be able to do everything. If you bring in many actors, including non-state actors, you would be able to do much more and a lot more. Excellencies, the example of President Benjamin William Mkapa of establishing his foundation inspired me on retirement to establish the Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete Foundation. We are dealing with a number of issues. On health, my foundation is more on maternal, child, newborn child, and adolescent health. However, we join forces with the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation and other players in the fight against HIV. For we know, when we struggle against maternal and child mortality, one of the causal factors is HIV infection. So we are not denying, or we are not denigrating the significance of also joining hands in the fight against HIV. At the personal level, let me reiterate that my championship of the HIV-free generation campaign will continue unabated. Your Excellency, Madam President, President of Zanzibar, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot I can say about the life and wonderful work done by my brother, my friend, my mentor, for the people of Masasi, the people of Tanzania, the East Africa region, Southern Africa, Africa, and the world. It suffices to say what I've said today. But once again, I congratulate him for the wise decision he took to establish the Benjamin Mkapa Foundation. The foundation has been doing a tremendous job, which keeps reminding people, reminding us about the man behind the vision. Through the work of this foundation, through the work of his foundation, Ben Mkapa will always be remembered, and we will continue to live his legacy. Let's all of us keep praying to Almighty God to rest his soul, to rest the soul of our beloved President Benjamin William Mkapa in eternal peace. Amen. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Thank you, President Kikwete. I now call the Minister for Health, Community Development, Gender, Elder and Children, Dr. Dorothy Gwajima, to give an introduction and to invite the President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolution Council, and the rest of the proceeding will take after that. Please, Dr. Gwajima.
Your Excellency, Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and the Chair of the Revolutionary Council, Your Excellencies, former Presidents of the United Republic of Tanzania and the former President of Zanzibar, Mama Anna Mkapa, widow of the late Benjamin William Mkapa, dear distinguished guests, protocol observed. Na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Asanteni sana. It is my pleasure and a great honor to address this important day that marks our thoughtful gratitude to a person who transformed our country's economy and specifically health sector through his leadership style that embraced the principles of good governance, leadership, and accountability. Kama tulivyozoea kusema, mzee wa zama za uwazi, ukweli, na uwajibikaji. This person is His Excellency, late Benjamin William Mkapa. This day has brought us to value his efforts to improve the performance of health sector in Tanzania. Your Excellency, many issues I planned to share have already been spoken by the previous speakers, and because of limited time, my message will be signed and delivered online. With your permission, Your Excellency, I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Hussein Mwinyi to deliver his remarks, the President of Zanzibar, to deliver his remarks, and later welcome you to address this audience. Your Excellency, President of United Republic of Tanzania, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say these a few words to this audience. Thank you.
Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, kwanza naomba mniruhusu nitoe hotuba yangu kwa Kiswahili. Waheshimiwa marais wastaafu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na wa Zanzibar, Mheshimiwa Mzee Mwinyi, Mzee Kikwete na Mzee Karume, waheshimiwa makamu wa kwanza na makamu wa pili wa rais wa Zanzibar, Mama Anna Mkapa, mjane wa mpendwa wetu Hayati Rais Benjamini Mkapa, waheshimiwa mawaziri mliopo wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na wale wa Zanzibar, mwenyekiti wa bodi ya taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa, Dr. Kimambo, mtendaji mkuu wa taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa, Dr. Ellen Mkondia Senkoro, jumuiya ya wanadiplomasia, washiriki kutoka sekta binafsi na asasi zisizo za kiserikali, mwenyekiti na wajumbe wa bodi ya taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa, familia na marafiki, mabibi na mabwana. Ninayo furaha kujumuika nanyi asubuhi ya leo katika maadhimisho haya ya safari ya maisha na urithi wa mpendwa wetu hayati Benjamin William Mkapa, rais mstaafu na mwanzilishi wa taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa. Nakushukuru mwenyekiti wa bodi ya wadhamini kwa kunialika kwenye shughuli hii muhimu. Awali ya kupongeze wewe na bodi unayoiongoza kwa kuazimia kuadhimisha kumbukumbu hii mwaka huu na miaka ijayo. Pili, niwapongeze kwa maandalizi mazuri ya maadhimisho haya ambayo hapana shaka yamefana sana. Binafsi nimefurahishwa sana na namna maadhimisho haya yalivyoratibiwa. Nimesikiliza shuhuda zilizotolewa na jopo la wataalam lililojadili ajenda muhimu ya afya kwa wote. Itapendeza miaka ijayo kufanya maadhimisho haya kule Zanzibar. Serikali yangu itawapa kila aina ya ushirikiano mtakaohitaji. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, nilipopokea mwaliko huu sikusita hata kidogo kuukubali, na nikalazimika kuahirisha shughuli nyingine ili niweze kuwepo hapa leo. Nilifanya hivyo kwa sababu mbili kubwa. Kwanza, hayati Rais mstaafu Benjamin Mkapa kwangu mimi alikuwa ni zaidi ya kiongozi. Alikuwa ni rais wangu na alinipa fursa ya kuhudumu katika serikali yake kwa nafasi ya naibu waziri kwa miaka 5. Alikuwa ndio rais wa kwanza aliyefungua safari yangu ya kisiasa pale aliponiteua kuwa naibu waziri mwaka 2000. Aliwekeza kwangu imani kubwa na alibeba dhamana kubwa sana kuniteua mimi wakati huo nikiwa kijana na mgeni kabisa kwenye siasa, nikitokea katika taaluma ya udaktari. Kupitia mikono yake ya ulezi alinilea nikakua kufika hapa nilipo leo. Nasikitika tu kuwa aliondoka kabla ya kushuhudia nikiapishwa kuwa rais wa Zanzibar. Sina shaka angejivunia sana kuona matunda ya kazi ya ulezi wake. Hayati Rais Mkapa kwangu pia alikuwa ni baba, naye alinichukulia kama mwanawe. Wakati wote alimpatia fursa ya kumuona na kuvuna hekima na busara zake akiwa madarakani na hata baada ya kustaafu. Kwa kweli nilifaidika naye sana. Kwake nimejifunza uongozi, nimejifunza kuhudumu na nimejifunza nidhamu ya kazi. Daima nilimjua kama kiongozi mwenye maono, hofu ya Mungu na mwanazuoni. Nafurahia sana mazungumzo yangu naye na daima niliagana naye nikiwa nimechota busara kutoka kwake. Pili, mimi ni mmoja wa wadau wa taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa. Nilipata fursa ya kuhudumu katika taasisi hii kwa nafasi ya mwenyekiti wa kwanza wa bodi ya wadhamini nilipoteuliwa na hayati mzee Mkapa mwaka 2006. Na hapa niseme ni sahihi kwamba kama alivyosema rais mstaafu Kikwete kwamba wakati bodi hii au taasisi hii inasajiliwa, ni kweli nilikuwa waziri wa nchi katika ofisi ya makamu wa rais ninayeshughulikia muungano. Lakini jukumu hili nilipewa kabla ya kusajiliwa, ambapo kulikuwa kuna programs zilishaanza mwaka 2005 nikiwa naibu waziri wa afya. Uteuzi ule unathibitisha kile nilichokisema awali kuwa daima alinipa imani na heshima kubwa sana. Nami niliamini sana katika maono, nia na azma yake ya kutaka kuona kila Mtanzania popote alipo na katika hali yoyote ya kiuchumi alionayo anapata huduma bora ya afya bila kizuizi. Alituhamasisha kuhakikisha kuwa tunabuni mipango, mbinu na mikakati yenye kutafuta ufumbuzi juu ya changamoto zinazozuia huduma bora za afya kuwafikia wahitaji huko waliko, zikiwemo ukosefu wa nyumba za watumishi na ukosefu wa watumishi wa kada mbalimbali za afya. Nafurahi kuwa nilitimiza wajibu wangu huo ipasavyo na najivunia fursa ile. Ninapoona taasisi hii imefikisha miaka 15, ninafarijika na kujivunia kuwa sehemu ya mafanikio yake ambayo yameelezewa kwa kina mapema leo. Mheshimiwa Rais, ndugu viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, Hayati Mheshimiwa Rais Benjamini William Mkapa ameifanyia nchi yetu mambo makubwa. Mageuzi ya kiuchumi na ya soko aliyoyaongoza yamekuwa na mchango mkubwa kwa Zanzibar. Yalisaidia sana kuifungua Zanzibar kutoka katika ukiritimba wa uchumi wa karafuu, yaani clove monoculture. Nia yake njema na kujali kwake kulichangia sana kupatikana kwa muafaka wa kwanza wa kisiasa Zanzibar, ambao ulirejesha hali ya amani na utulivu. Muafaka ule ulisaidia sana kutuliza joto la kisiasa Zanzibar na kufungua fursa za majadiliano na mashirikiano ya kisiasa visiwani kwetu. Msimamo wake juu ya muungano ulikuwa thabiti, usioyumba, na alikuwa tayari kusimamia na kuulinda muungano wetu kwa kauli na vitendo. Zanzibar pia ni mnufaikaji mkubwa wa miradi ya taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa tokea mwaka 2007. Miradi hiyo imejikita katika sekta ya afya, hususan kujenga uwezo wa watumishi wa afya katika kutoa huduma zinazohusu ukimwi, kifua kikuu, malaria na afya ya mama na mtoto. Tunajivunia mafanikio yaliyopatikana kupitia miradi hii ambayo kwa kweli imesaidia sana juhudi za Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar kutimiza wajibu wake wa kuhakikisha utoaji wa huduma bora za afya kwa wote. Napata faraja kuwa mazungumzo ya mashirikiano kati ya serikali na ninayoiongoza na taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa yako katika hatua nzuri. Ni matumaini yetu kuwa yakikamilika yatasaidia sana kufanikisha azma yetu ya kupunguza uhaba wa watumishi wa sekta ya afya pamoja na upatikanaji wa fedha za kuwezesha lengo la serikali ninayoiongoza kumpatia bima ya afya kila Mzanzibari. Na wahakikishia ushirikiano wangu na wenzangu wote serikalini kufanikisha azma hii. Nimeguswa pia na uamuzi wenu wa kuanzisha mfuko wa wakfu wa Benjamin Mkapa kwa ajili ya kuendeleza kazi zake kupitia taasisi yenu. Ni wazo sahihi kwa wakati sahihi. Wakfu hii ikifanikiwa itasaidia sana kupunguza utegemezi wa misaada na kujenga uwezo wa taasisi kujitegemea. Daima kujitegemea ndio ilikuwa nadhiri ya hayati Rais Mkapa. Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, sisi Zanzibar tunatekeleza dira ya maendeleo ya 2050 ambayo inalenga kuifikisha Zanzibar kwa nchi ya uchumi wa kati wa juu, yani upper middle income status, ifikapo mwaka 2050. Dira hiyo imejengwa kwenye nguzo 4 ambazo ni mapinduzi ya kiuchumi, rasilimali watu na huduma za jamii, utawala bora na uhimilivu na miundombinu. Kuhusu rasilimali watu na huduma za jamii, tumedhamiria kujenga jamii ya watu wenye afya bora, wenye kuweza kushindana na wengine duniani, wabunifu na wachapakazi ili waweze kuchangia kikamilifu katika uchumi wa nchi. Ili kufikia lengo hilo, hatuna budi kuhakikisha kuwepo kwa huduma za jamii zilizo bora, za uhakika na zenye kutumainika. Ni katika muktadha huu tunawakaribisha sana taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa kushirikiana kujenga mifumo ya kuwezesha upatikanaji wa huduma bora za afya ambazo zinafikiwa na wote zinazotolewa na watoa huduma wenye sifa na zinazoendana na teknolojia ya kisasa. Tungependa kuona kila mlichofanya huku bara, hususan katika ujenzi wa mifumo ya afya, kinafanyika pia Zanzibar. Mheshimiwa Rais, mabibi na mabwana, naomba nimalizie hotuba yangu kwa mara nyingine tena kuushukuru uongozi wa taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa kwa heshima hii kubwa walionitunukia ya kuzungumza kwenye hadhara hii. Baada ya maneno hayo, sasa naomba nifanye kazi niliyopewa ya kumkaribisha Mheshimiwa Rais kuzungumza na hadhara hii. Mheshimiwa Rais, karibu sana.
Naomba tukae. Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na Mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, Waheshimiwa marais wastaafu wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania na marais wastaafu wa Zanzibar, waheshimiwa viongozi wa vyama vya siasa, na hapa naomba nitambue uwepo wa viongozi wa Chama cha Mapinduzi, waheshimiwa marais wengine wastaafu, marafiki wa hayati Rais mstaafu Benjamini Mkapa ambao wamejiunga nasi kwa njia ya mtandao, Mama Ana Mkapa, familia, marafiki, pamoja na kina mama wake wa viongozi waliokuja kumuunga mkono Mama Mkapa, waheshimiwa mawaziri mliopo, wenyeji wetu Mheshimiwa Amos Makala, mkuu wa mkoa wa Dar es Salaam, waheshimiwa mabalozi na wakilishi wa taasisi za kimataifa mliopo, Dr. Adelina Kimambo, mwenyekiti wa bodi ya wadhamini ya taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa, Dr. Ellen Mkondi ya Senkoro, afisa mtendaji mkuu wa taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa, viongozi wengine wa serikali mliopo, viongozi wa asasi mbalimbali za kiraia, wageni waalikwa, wanahabari, mabibi na mabwana, na wasalimu kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Waheshimiwa, siku zote inakuwa vigumu sana kuzungumza mwisho, na hasa baada ya wazee wote hawa kuzungumza. Nimewasikiliza kwa makini wale wote waliofanya kazi na kumfahamu kwa karibu zaidi Mheshimiwa hayati Rais mstaafu Mzee Mkapa. Ni watu wenye kumfahamu na wamefanya naye kazi kwa karibu zaidi, kwa hiyo wamezungumza yote kuhusu Mzee Mkapa. Kwa kifupi, wamemwelezea Mzee Mkapa kama kiongozi aliyekuwa na maono makubwa, jasiri, shupavu, imara, mpenda maendeleo, mwanadiplomasia nguli, mwenye kutaka kuona matokeo na mtetezi walionyimwa haki. Nakubaliana na hayo yote. Mimi pia nimebahatika kumfahamu hayati Rais Mkapa. Naweza kuthibitisha kuwa yote yaliyosemwa na walionitangulia kuzungumza ni ya kweli. Mzee Mkapa alikuwa mtu wa kipekee sana. Mara zote ilikuwa ukipata fursa ya kukutana naye na kuzungumza naye, utaondoka ukiwa umevuna mambo mengi. Hakuwa mchoyo wa taarifa wala kukupa maarifa. Alikuwa mtu mwenye haiba ya mamlaka na kujiamini. Alikuwa mwenye ufahamu mkubwa na busara nyingi, na hivyo na hayo yote amejidhihirisha kwenye ustadi wa maandiko yake mengi. Kwa hakika yayoelezwa hapa yanathibitisha umuhimu wa kuandaliwa kwa kongamano hili. Hivyo basi naishukuru na kuipongeza sana Taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa kwa maandalizi mazuri ya kongamano hili na kwa kunialika pia. Kabla ya kuingia ukumbini, nilipata fursa ya kuzunguka na kuona kidogo kazi zinazofanywa na taasisi hii, na ni kweli kazi kubwa imefanyika chini ya uongozi wa afisa mtendaji mkuu Ellen Senkoro na mwenyekiti wa bodi Dr. Adelina Kimambo. Kwa bahati nzuri wote ni wanawake. Na kama tunavyojua, chini ya uongozi wa wanawake hakiharibiki kitu. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, nina uhakika nitakuwa sijaongeza chumvi nikisema kitabu cha historia ya taifa letu hakiwezi kukamilika bila kuwepo sura nzima itakayomweleza hayati Rais Benjamini William Mkapa. Na hii sio tu kwa sababu alikuwa rais wetu wa awamu ya 3, lakini pia kutokana na mageuzi makubwa aliyoifanyia nchi yetu. Sote tunafahamu jinsi ambavyo wakati wa uongozi wake Mzee Mkapa alisimamia mageuzi makubwa ya kiuchumi nchini. Miongoni mwa hatua kubwa alizochukua ni kutoa fursa kubwa zaidi kwa sekta binafsi na kukaribisha uwekezaji kutoka nje. Hatua hizi zilisaidia kuongeza mapato ya serikali toka shilingi bilioni 331.2 mwaka 1995 hadi kufikia shilingi trilioni 2 mwaka 2005. Aidha, Mzee Mkapa alifanikiwa kupunguza deni la taifa kama ilivyosemwa hapa karibu kwa nusu, kutoka asilimia 143.7 tulikuwa tukidaiwa ya pato la taifa mwaka 95 hadi asilimia 60.7 mwaka 2005. Na hii iliwezekana baada ya Mzee Mkapa kwa kutumia uzoefu wake wa diplomasia kuzishawishi taasisi za kifedha za kimataifa na nchi wahisani kusamehe madeni waliokuwa wanatudai kupitia mpango wa HIPIC uliosimamiwa na Benki ya Dunia na shirika la fedha la IMF. Hii pia ilisaidia nchi wahisani na taasisi za kifedha za kimataifa kurejesha uhusiano na nchi yetu au kurejesha imani na nchi yetu, na hivyo kuanza tena kutupatia mikopo na misaada. Vile vile, Mzee Mkapa ataendelea kukumbukwa kwa kujenga mifumo imara ya kitaasisi ya serikali, na wote tumesikia hapa kutoka kwa Balozi Sefue, lakini pia kutoka kwa Rais mstaafu kaka yetu Kikwete, mambo ambayo ameyafanya. Na kwa ufupi ni kwamba alianzisha taasisi nyingi. Wale waliokuwepo wakati huo tunakumbuka slogani yake ya kodi kwanza, na kwenye mikutano tulikuwa tunaitana halo 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 ya Mkapa, kodi kwanza. Na kwa maana hiyo alianzisha TRA, lakini pia PCCB, taasisi ya kupambana na rushwa, lakini pia kama ilivyosemwa TASAF, TANROADS, Baraza la Taifa la Uwezeshaji, TNBC, Baraza la Biashara la Taifa, Mkurabita, shirika la bima au mfuko wa taifa wa bima ya afya, tume ya kupambana na ukimwi na mengi, taasisi nyingi ambazo wengine walizitaja hapa. Taasisi hizi zipo mpaka leo na zinaendelea kutoa huduma na kuchochea ukuaji wa uchumi wa nchi yetu. Ni hakika ni katika kipindi chake Mzee Mkapa ndipo mkakati wa kukuza uchumi na kupambana na umaskini mkukuta, sera mpya mambo ya nje pamoja na dira ya taifa ya maendeleo ya mwaka 2020 mpaka 25 ilipitishwa. Hii inaonyesha kuwa mbali na kuangalia matatizo ya wakati huo, Mzee Mkapa alikuwa pia na maono ya kuangalia mustakabali wa nchi yetu kwa nyakati za mbele zaidi. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, mchango wa Mzee Mkapa haukuishia kwenye mipaka ya nchi yetu, bali pia nje ya Tanzania. Alishiriki kikamilifu katika kuifufua Jumuiya ya Afrika Mashariki, akichukua kijiti kutoka kwa Mzee Mwinyi, Mzee Ruksa. Aidha, alitoa mchango wake wakati wa kugeuza iliyokuwa Umoja wa Nchi Huru za Afrika OAU na kuwa Umoja wa Afrika AU mwaka 2001, na hali kadhalika kwenye mchakato wa kutafuta amani ya Burundi uliopelekea kusainiwa kwa mkataba wa amani na maridhiano wa Burundi kwa mwaka 2000. Zaidi ya hapo, Mzee Mkapa alitoa mchango mkubwa kwenye ujenzi wa ofisi za makao makuu ya Jumuiya ya Maendeleo Kusini mwa Afrika SADC pale Gaborone nchini Botswana. Wakati akikabidhi wenyekiti wa SADC mwaka 2004, baada ya kuona wafadhili wanasuasua, Mzee Mkapa alitoa wito na wazo kwa nchi wanachama kutoa michango kuanza ujenzi wa ofisi hiyo. Naye aliahidi na alitangaza kwamba Tanzania itachangia dola 500,000 katika mchango huo. Wakuu wa nchi nyingine za SADC baada ya kuona umadhubuti wa Mzee Mkapa waliunga mkono wazo hilo na michango iliendelea. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, sambamba na hayo, sifa nyingine kubwa ya Mzee Mkapa ni uwezo wake mkubwa wa kuhimili au kutoogopa mijadala ya kimataifa. Na hapa kuna mifano mingi. Sote tunakumbuka miaka ya 1990 na mwanzoni wa miaka 2000. Kulikuwa na vuguvugu kubwa la kupinga masuala ya utandawazi au globalization. Na baadhi ya watu, wakiwemo baadhi ya viongozi, walitumia fursa hiyo kujipatia umaarufu. Mzee Mkapa yeye hakufuata mkumbo. Badala yake alijitokeza hadharani kutetea utandawazi na kueleza kwa nini tunapaswa kuupokea. Na katika hili alifanya kazi kubwa mbili. Moja, kuelimisha wananchi kuhusu umuhimu wa utandawazi ndani ya nchi yake. Na pili, kutumia uzoefu wake wa kidiplomasia kuieleza dunia kuhusu umuhimu wa kuwa na utandawazi unaojali maslahi ya makundi. Hii ndio iliyopelekea Mzee Mkapa akateuliwa kwa mwenyekiti mwenza wa tume iliyoundwa na Shirika la Kazi Duniani ya kushughulikia masuala ya utandawazi, akishirikiana na Mheshimiwa Tarja Halonen aliyekuwa rais wa Finland. Aidha, kama ilivyoelezwa mapema hapa au tulivyomsikia Mheshimiwa Tony Blair, waziri mkuu wa zamani wa Uingereza, alikuwa mwenyekiti mwenza na Mzee Mkapa kwenye kamisheni kuhusu masuala ya Afrika. Zaidi ya hapo, Mzee Mkapa alikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamisheni ya kushughulikia masuala ya nchi zinazoendelea, yani South Commission. Kupitia ushiriki wa Mzee Mkapa kwenye vyombo hivyo, sauti ya Afrika au sauti ya nchi za Afrika na nchi zinazoendelea iliweza kusikika kwa sababu sauti yake ilikuwa nzito. Niseme pia kwamba mimi binafsi pia nimewahi kushuhudia uwezo wa Mzee Mkapa kwenye masuala ya kimataifa. Kama tunavyokumbuka mwaka 2001, baada ya kutokea machafuko kule Zanzibar, chini ya uongozi wakati ule Zanzibar ikiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais Amana Bedi Karume, Mzee Mkapa aliamua kuunda jopo la Watanzania ambao aliwatuma nje ya nchi. Jopo lile lilikuwa na Mheshimiwa Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete wakati ule akiwa waziri wa mambo ya nje wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Ali Mohamed Shein akiwa waziri wa sheria na utawala bora Serikali ya Mapinduzi Zanzibar, lakini nikiwemo na mimi nikiwa waziri wa kazi, ajira za vijana, maendeleo ya wanawake na watoto, pamoja na wenzetu kadhaa kina Brigedia Mwakanjuki, na alitupa kazi ya kwenda nchi mbalimbali duniani kuelezea yaliyotokea, lakini pia kuelezea tulivyojipanga kwenda mbele na kuondoa tatizo lililojitokeza. Katika kuifanya kazi hiyo nilijifunza mambo mengi ya siasa na diplomasia, pamoja na hekima ambayo wakuu wa nchi wanapaswa kutumia kunapotokea changamoto hasa za kisiasa. Hatua hiyo ndiyo iliyoleta mwafaka wa kisiasa Zanzibar na nchi kwa ujumla kuendelea na shughuli zake bila vikwazo vya ndani wala nje vya kimataifa. Kwa tulijifunza mengi kutokana na mzee Mkapa, na asingefanya hivi hatujui tulikuwa tunaelekea wapi. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, baada ya kustaafu wengi tulidhani mzee Mkapa angepumzika, lakini haikuwa hivyo. Aliendelea kujishughulisha na masuala mbalimbali ya kikanda, barani Afrika na kwenye mataifa mengine ulimwenguni. Sote tunakumbuka wakati mauti yanamkuta mzee Mkapa, alikuwa msuluhishi wa mgogoro nchini Burundi na mwenyekiti wa jukwaa la viongozi wa Afrika kama ilivyosemwa hapo awali. Nimefurahi kuona kwa viongozi wenzake au wenziwe wa jukwaa hilo, akiwemo Rais mstaafu Olusegun Obasanjo, wanafuatilia kongamano hili kwa njia ya mtandao. Ndani ya nchi, Rais Mkapa aliendelea kutoa mchango wake kupitia taasisi aliyoianzisha. Taasisi hii inatoa mchango mkubwa kwa nchi yetu, hususan katika sekta ya afya kama ilivyoelezwa na wengi hapa. Ndugu zangu, kwenye kitabu cha wasifu wake, mzee Mkapa amekiri kwa wazo la kuanzisha taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa alilipata kutoka kwa Rais mstaafu wa Marekani, Mheshimiwa Bill Clinton. Hivyo basi, mniruhusu kutumia jukwaa hili kumshukuru na kumpongeza sana Rais mstaafu Clinton kwa kumshawishi hayati mzee Mkapa kutekeleza wazo hilo. Nina taarifa kwamba Mheshimiwa Clinton naye, lakini wote tumeona kwamba naye anashiriki kongamano hili kwa kupitia njia ya mtandao, na kwa niaba yenu nimshukuru sana sana. Aidha, kwa namna ya pekee nashukuru na kuwapongeza wadau na wahisani wote ambao wamekuwa wakiunga mkono kazi zinazofanywa na taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa kwa kutoa kiasi cha shilingi bilioni 198 hadi kufikia mwezi Juni 2021. Na wasihi sana muendelee kuiunga mkono taasisi hii. Na katika hilo, nitumie fursa hii kuipongeza sana taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa kwa kubuni wazo la kuanzisha mfuko wa uwekezaji, lakini nimepata jina zuri kutoka kwa mdogo wangu Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, mfuko wa wakfu. Hili ni wazo zuri ambalo sio tu litatoa uhakika wa taasisi kuendelea na kazi zake, bali pia linaendelea na msimamo wa mzee Mkapa kuhusu umuhimu wa kujitegemea. Kwa msingi huo, serikali inaunga mkono kuanzishwa kwa mfuko huu, na ni ahadi yangu kwamba serikali itachangia. Na wasihi wadau wengine nao kuchangia ili kuukuza mfuko huu. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, muda mfupi uliopita umefanyika mdahalo wenye kauli mbiu huduma za afya kwa wote, urithi wa Rais Benjamin William Mkapa katika kujenga mifumo imara ya sekta ya afya. Mjadala huu ni muafaka na umefanyika kipindi sahihi. Hayati Rais Mkapa alikuwa muumini mzuri wa masuala ya afya kwa wote. Kwa upande mwingine, kama mnavyofahamu, hivi sasa serikali pia ipo kwenye mchakato wa mfumo wa kutoa huduma za afya kwa wote kupitia bima ya afya kwa wote. Na kwa sababu hiyo, nimefurahishwa sana na majadiliano yaliyofanyika hapa. Nina uhakika wataalamu na serikali tutakapoyafanyia kazi yale yaliyozungumzwa hapa, yatasaidia sio tu katika kurahisisha kufikia utoaji wa huduma za afya kwa wote, lakini pia kuboresha upatikanaji wa huduma za afya nchini. Na hapa nataka niwe mkweli, binafsi natamani na kwa hakika nitafurahi sana endapo majadiliano yaliyofanyika yatatuwezesha kuboresha huduma za afya ya uzazi na afya ya mtoto, kwa kuwa masuala haya ni ajenda ya moyo wangu. Sambamba na hayo, naamini majadiliano yaliyofanyika yatatuwezesha kukabiliana na changamoto nyingine za afya zinazokabili nchi yetu na dunia kwa ujumla, ikiwemo mlipuko wa ugonjwa wa uviko 19 au COVID-19. Kuhusu janga hili la uviko 19, serikali inaendelea kumtaka kila mwananchi kuchukua tahadhari za kujikinga na ugonjwa kwa kufuata maelekezo ya wataalamu wetu wa afya, kwa kuwa kinga ni bora kuliko tiba, samahani. Na kwa upande mwingine, serikali tunaendelea kuchukua hatua mbalimbali za kukabiliana na ugonjwa huu, ambapo kwa sasa tunakamilisha taratibu za kuagiza chanjo kwa ajili ya kinga. Mwelekeo ni kwamba kila atakayehitaji huduma ya chanjo iwe inapatikana, na kama nilivyosema kabla, kwa chanjo hiyo ni ya hiari. Hivyo basi, napenda kutumia fursa hii kuomba wadau wa afya kuunga mkono jitihada hizo za serikali. Waheshimiwa viongozi, mabibi na mabwana, nimehakikishiwa kuwa kongamano hili litakuwa linafanyika kila mwaka. Kwa sababu hiyo, haitakuwa vyema kumaliza kueleza yote yanayomhusu mzee Mkapa leo hii, hasa kwa kuwa mzee huyu tulimfahamu kama kiongozi wa serikali, lakini vile vile kiongozi wa kisiasa. Tuna mengi ambayo tungeweza kumuelezea, wengi wamesimama kumuelezea, lakini ukiangalia maelezo yao yanayokutana ni machache kuliko yale ambayo hayakutani. Kwa mzee huyu ana wigo mpana wa kuelezwa mambo aliyoyafanya katika dunia hii. Hivyo kwa leo ningependa niishie hapa. Hata hivyo, kabla sijahitimisha, napenda kuishukuru taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa kwa kuandaa kongamano hili la kumbukizi ya maisha ya hayati Rais mstaafu Benjamin Mkapa. Nataka niwahakikishie kuwa serikali itaendeleza ushirikiano uliopo, ikiwemo katika kutekeleza mpango mkakati wa taasisi hiyo wa 5 wa afya unayotekelezwa katika kipindi cha miaka 5 ijayo, ambao mmezindua hivi karibuni. Kwa bahati nzuri, yote yaliyomo kwenye mpango mkakati wenu yamo pia kwenye mpango wetu wa 3 wa taifa wa maendeleo wa miaka 5 wa mwaka 2021-22 hadi 2025-26. Kwa mama yetu Ana Mkapa pamoja na familia, nataka niwahakikishie kwa serikali ipo na itakuwa pamoja nanyi kwa kila hali. Na hapa nataka niwape taarifa, ndugu zangu washiriki wa kongamano hili, kwamba mbali ya mimi kumfahamu mzee Mkapa, lakini nimebahatika pia kulelewa na wote, mzee Mkapa na mama Mkapa. Mzee Mkapa nilisafiri naye mara nyingi nikiwa waziri wa kazi, vijana, maendeleo ya wanawake na watoto katika mikutano ya kimataifa, na mara nyingi alipenda nisafiri naye kwenye ndege yake. Wakati wa safari alinifunza mengi sana. Lakini kwa upande wa pili, mama Mkapa, mimi nilikuwa mjumbe wa bodi ya taasisi ya mama Mkapa ya fursa sawa kwa wote au EOTF. Nilifanya naye kazi kwa miaka 4, 1996 hadi 2000. Lakini ilikuwa ni mama Mkapa na wajumbe wenzangu wa bodi walionishawishi sana kuingia kwenye shughuli za kisiasa. Hivyo mwaka 2000 nikamuacha kwenye taasisi nami nikaingia shughuli za kisiasa. Kwa hiyo namshukuru sana mama Mkapa. Dr. Hussein hapa alisema alivyo leo ni matunda ya mzee Mkapa. Kwa hiyo nilivyo mimi leo ni matunda ya wengi sana, lakini pamoja na mzee Mkapa na mama Mkapa. Kwa marafiki zetu na wahisani na wadau wetu wa maendeleo, na wasihi muendelee kushirikiana nasi na kuiunga mkono taasisi ya Benjamin William Mkapa ili iendelee kuwahudumia mamilioni ya Watanzania. Nimefurahi na kupata moyo kuona waheshimiwa mabalozi pamoja na wawakilishi wa mashirika ya kimataifa wako hapa pamoja nasi wakishirikiana na taasisi hii. Hii ni kuonesha jinsi mnavyoithamini taasisi hii ya Benjamin Mkapa. Waheshimiwa mabibi na mabwana, napenda nihitimishe sasa hotuba yangu kwa kutumia maneno ya aliyekuwa kiongozi wa India Mahatma Gandhi, ambaye aliwahi kusema, na nanukuu, "Great men never die, and it is up to us to keep them immortal by continuing the work they have commenced." Akimaanisha kuwa watu wa viongozi mahiri huwa hawafi, na ni juu yetu kuwahuisha au kuwafanya waendelee kuishi kwa kuendeleza kazi walizozianzisha. Kwa hiyo niwasihi ndugu zangu, tuende kuendeleza mambo mazuri yaliyoanzishwa na mzee wetu Benjamin William Mkapa. Serikali huwa tuna ahadi yetu ya kuyatunza na kuyaendeleza mema yote yaliyofanywa na viongozi wa awamu zote zilizotangulia na kuleta mema mapya. Na katika hilo tunatambua kuwa viatu vyao ni vikubwa sana. Si rahisi sisi wa leo kuvivaa, lakini tutajitahidi. Naomba niwaage tena kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikiliza.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. And if it pleases you, Your Excellency, we are requesting you now to cut the ribbon to launch the endowment fund. If Your Excellency could go to the podium and the chairperson of the board to cut the ribbon. And Your Excellency, I will request once you launch, yes, to please hand over one copy to Mama Mkapa and one copy to President Mgeni. Yes. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, please, if you can give one copy to Mama Mkapa and one copy to President Mgeni. Chairman of the board, if you can take a few copies and over to the VIP who are on the front seat, one copy each, please. One copy for our leaders. Thank you very much. If the CEO and chairperson, you can please give one copy to leaders on the front row as quickly as possible. We are getting to an end of the program. If you can please provide one copy from Honorable Mangula up to Honorable Sefue, that will do. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes, one copy each. I now call upon one member of the board of Benjamin Mkapa Foundation, Lawrence Mafuru, to come forward for presentation of award to the family of late Mkapa, and we'll request Your Excellency to give this award to Mama Anna Mkapa. So I'm requesting a person responsible for that award to come forward, and if it pleases you, Your Excellency, to stand up and be able to hand over this award to Mama Anna Mkapa in remembrance of President Mkapa. Yes, Mafuru. Yes, Chairman of, yes, member of the board. with Mama Ana Mkapa? Yes. Yes. If you could please hand it over to Her Excellency, then you hand over to Mama Mkapa. Microphone. Could you provide him with one wireless microphone quickly? In the interest of time, if we can do quickly, yes, the microphone is here. Quickly. Yes.
Your Excellency, Madam Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, Your Excellencies, former presidents, and all leaders, protocols of the observed. We are gathered here today to commemorate the life of one of the great Tanzanians for a job well done. His unbridled enthusiasm has touched many lives of men and women in our ranks for the better. For his service to us, there were no rewards demanded, nor were any ever given. He was content with making advances in the field of health through is the foundation and spiritual fulfillment that comes from the love of your fellow men. It is people like Mzee Mkapa who have taught us the real meaning of leaving a legacy behind. Benjamin Mkapa Foundation maintains its settler's dream and continue to build upon foundations he created. In his voice, he said, "I will leave it to my God and you to decide what difference I have made in this world." And since he's left us to us, the board, management, and staff of BMF have decided the difference he made were massive and very demonstrable. In recognition of that, his visionary leadership, love for his country, and in appreciation of an outstanding diplomat, a reformist, a respectful civil servant, great politician, an exceptional orator, and a writer, I would like to call upon Mama Mkapa so that she can get this reward as an appreciation of that great journey that Mzee traveled. And I would like to hand over that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. On behalf of the family of late Benjamin Mkapa, I now call upon William Werio to give a vote of thanks to Madam President. William Werio, please take the stage. Thank you very much. Okay.
Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, Rais wa Zanzibar na Mwenyekiti wa Baraza la Mapinduzi, waheshimiwa viongozi wetu wa kitaifa wa sasa na wastaafu mlioko hapa, ndugu washiriki wenzangu katika kongamano hili, mabibi na mabwana, nimesimama hapa kwa niaba ya familia ya Rais mstaafu Mzee Mkapa pamoja na Mama Ana kutoa shukrani zetu za dhati. Tunakushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kutenga muda wako na kuja kushiriki nasi katika kongamano hili. Tunajua una majukumu mengi, lakini umeweza kuja kushiriki nasi, ni jambo ambalo limetufariji sana. Tunasema asante sana. Tunakushukuru pia kwa pledge ulioitoa ya kuchangia katika mfuko wa wakfu, lakini tunakushukuru zaidi kwa ombi ulilolitoa kwa washiriki kwamba nao washiriki katika kuchangia. Waswahili wanasema ombi la mkubwa ni amri. Naamini Mheshimiwa Rais, amri yako imesikika na itafanyiwa kazi. Tunakushukuru pia kwa kueleza ahadi uliyoitoa kwa niaba ya Foundation ya Benjamin Mkapa kwamba serikali yako ya awamu ya 6 itafanya kazi kwa karibu na taasisi kuhakikisha kuwa mpango mkakati wa miaka 5 wa taasisi unafanikiwa. Kwa Mheshimiwa Rais Mwinyi, tunakushukuru sana nawe. Tunakushukuru kwa sababu juhudi zako ndio zimewezesha mwaka huu taasisi ya Benjamin Mkapa ikafikisha miaka 15 ya uwepo wake. Wewe ndio ulianza nayo, ulijenga msingi, ulikuwa msingi mzuri na matunda yake tunayaona sasa. Lakini vile vile tunakushukuru kwa sababu umeahidi kufanya kazi kwa karibu na taasisi hii, lakini pia ukatoa ahadi kwamba uko tayari kuhosti kikao kijacho au shughuli ijayo ya kampuni hii kama itaamuliwa ifanyike Zanzibar. Nina hakika ombi hilo litakubaliwa na bila shaka shughuli inayofuata itafanyika Zanzibar. Umepongeza pia kuanzishwa kwa mfuko wa wakfu, ingawa kusema chochote, naamini baada ya Rais Samia kusema na wewe utaamua kuchangia mfuko huo kwa kadri utakavyoona inafaa. Mheshimiwa Rais Kikwete, tunakushukuru kwa maneno mazuri uliyosema kwa mzee wetu. Wewe pamoja na Rais Clinton, tumemsikia, pamoja na Waziri Mkuu Tony Blair, pamoja na Rais Obasanjo, mmemweleza mzee wetu vizuri sana. Lakini tumefarijika kwamba pamoja na kwamba ni mwaka mmoja sasa tangu kufariki kwake, mmeendelea kuwa karibu na hata kuamua kwenu kushiriki katika symposium hii. Wewe kwa kushiriki binafsi na wenzio kwa kushiriki kwa njia ya mtandao, mnaonyesha ni kwa namna gani mlikaa vizuri na mzee wetu, na ndio maana tumeendelea kuwa pamoja. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunawashukuru wafadhili na wote waliofanikisha kufanyika kwa shughuli hii ya leo. Tunaamini imefanyika kwa namna ambayo kweli hata mzee angekuwa hai angeridhishwa na jinsi ilivyoandaliwa na kufanyika. Tunawashukuru marafiki na ndugu wote ambao mmekuja kushiriki nasi. Wengine wamesafiri kutoka maeneo ya mbali kuja kushiriki kwenye shughuli hii. Hii yote imetutia moyo kwamba mwaka mmoja baadaye bado alama alizoziacha mzee wetu katika taifa letu zinaendelea kuthaminiwa. Tukushukuru pia zaidi Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kukubali hata kutoa tuzo ambayo amekabidhiwa kwa namna ya picha. Nadhani nyote ni mashahidi kwamba kwa muda wa kipindi sasa, nadhani takriban miezi 4 tangu Mheshimiwa Rais ameingia madarakani, ameonyesha ni kwa namna gani anavyowaheshimu na anavyowathamini watangulizi wake. Alionyesha hivyo tarehe 8 Mei wakati wa sherehe ya miaka 96 ya Rais mstaafu Mzee Ali Hassan Mwinyi. Ameonyesha hivyo leo, na naamini kwamba huo ndio moyo wake na tutauendelea kuona katika siku zijazo. Niwashukuru pia sponsors wetu, makampuni ya TV na radio, Azam, NBC, UNAIDS, UNICEF na mabenki na wengine wote walioshiriki katika kugharamia sherehe hii. Kufanya kwenu hivyo ndio kumewezesha kufanyika kwa shughuli hii, lakini hata mmekwenda mbali zaidi kwa kufanya hii shughuli ikaonekana mubashara katika television, kwa maana ambayo Watanzania wengine wengi wameweza kuiona huko waliko. Kwenu nyote tunasema asanteni sana. Sasa Waswahili wanasema kushukuru ni kuomba tena. Nimalizie kushukuru kwamba tunashukuru leo, lakini shughuli hii itakapofanyika Zanzibar na siku zijazo, na hususan katika ile endowment fund inayokuja, matumaini yetu ni kwamba tutaendelea kuwa pamoja na mtaendelea kushirikiana nasi kama mlivyoshiriki leo. Asanteni sana kwa kunisikia.
Asante sana. Thank you very much. We have come to an end of the symposium, and our request, we do two things. We will all raise as the President of United Republic of Tanzania leaves the podium, but our request will remain behind as she leaves for other further announcement. I now call upon Superintendent Mpepo, brass band, wakati Mheshimiwa Rais anajitayarisha kuondoka. Naomba wote tusimame tafadhali. Brass band. to leave is the President of Zanzibar. President of Zanzibar, please. The President of Zanzibar is... Announcement. The Benjamin Mkapa Foundation has arranged